The first thing that bothered me was how quickly Ashley answered questions meant for me. We were sitting in a small examination room in northeast Albuquerque. The chair had stiff blue vinyl, and the air vent clicked every few seconds. Dr. Stephanie Wood sat across from us with a yellow notepad on her knee. Ashley had taken the chair closest to the doctor. I was beside the sink, looking at a poster about blood pressure. Dr. Wood asked, "Mr. Wheeler, have you noticed any trouble remembering appointments?" I opened my mouth. Ashley said, "He missed 2 in the same month." Dr. Wood looked at her, then back at me. "Mrs. Wheeler, I'll speak with you in a moment. Right now, I'd like him to answer." Ashley pressed her lips together. She had her phone face down on her lap. I said, "I missed 1 dentist appointment. The other appointment had been moved, and nobody told me." "Nobody?" Ashley asked. I looked at her. "You changed it." She gave Dr. Wood a small, tired smile. It was the sort of smile people use when they want a stranger to know they've been patient. Dr. Wood made a note. "I'm Donald Wheeler, and I'm 68 years old. What city are you listening from?" That morning, I didn't know whether I was there for a real medical concern or a family argument dressed up in clinic paperwork. I only knew my daughter-in-law had scheduled the appointment, my son had encouraged me to attend, and both of them had started watching ordinary mistakes as if they were evidence. Ashley cleared her throat. "I made a symptom log," she said. "Dates, incidents, things he said." "Doctor," Wood held out her hand. "May I see it?" "It's on my phone." "All right, may I see your phone?" Ashley didn't move. That pause lasted maybe 2 seconds. It was short enough to ignore. I didn't ignore it. Her thumb tightened against the edge of the case. She glanced at me, then toward the door. I saw my son's name in a message notification before she turned the screen toward herself. That was when I understood this appointment wasn't the beginning. It had started 6 weeks earlier in my garage on Mesquite Lane. My garage looks like a garage owned by an electrician who never learned how to throw anything away. I have coffee cans filled with wire nuts, labeled drawers of screws, and 2 shelves of conduit fittings sorted by size. My old electrician's toolbox sits inside a steel cabinet against the back wall. The cabinet stays locked because some tools in there have been with me longer than Christopher has. My wife used to say I could find a 1/2-inch lock nut in the dark, but couldn't find the mustard in the refrigerator. She died in 2022. After that, the house got quiet in ways I hadn't expected. Not peaceful exactly, just quiet. Her reading glasses stayed in the kitchen drawer because moving them felt unnecessary. I kept making coffee for 2 for almost a month. Then I stopped filling the second mug, but I left it beside the machine. That was around the time I started helping Christopher more. He and Ashley had established Mesa Home Renewals in 2018. They did kitchen updates, bathroom renovations, flooring, and smaller additions. Christopher handled crews and job sites. Ashley handled scheduling, estimates, invoices, and suppliers. At least, that was the simple version. In practice, Ashley made most of the decisions. Christopher carried them out. When a decision went well, she called it planning. When it went badly, she called it a field problem. I had signed a personal guarantee for their main supplier account when the company opened. They had little credit history and needed materials before customers made final payments. I had a paid-off house, a good retirement account, and 40 years of steady work behind my name. Christopher had looked embarrassed when he asked. "You don't have to do it, Dad." "I know. We'll get you off it as soon as we build credit." Ashley had nodded quickly. "Absolutely. This is temporary." Temporary lasted 8 years. Each year, Valerie Page, the supplier's credit manager, prepared the renewal paperwork. I signed it. Mesa Home Renewals kept ordering on account. Christopher thanked me. Ashley brought over a bottle of bourbon at Christmas, and we all acted as if the arrangement was normal. I also repaired their equipment for free. Their tile saw had spent 3 Saturdays on my workbench. I replaced brushes in 2 drills, rebuilt a compressor regulator, and fixed more damaged extension cords than I could count. If a crew bent a plug or cracked a housing, Christopher dropped the tool at my garage. Sometimes he stayed and talked. More often he said, "I've got to run, Dad. Ashley's waiting on me." I told myself that was how grown families worked. Everybody was busy. Closeness didn't always look like long conversations. Sometimes it looked like fixing a drill before Monday. That Saturday, I was cleaning the rollers on their conduit bender. Mesa Home Renewals didn't use it every day, but they needed it for commercial remodeling jobs. It was an older hydraulic model they had bought used. The return had started sticking, and one roller had a rough spot. Christopher stood near my workbench, drinking coffee from a paper cup. I ran my finger over the roller. This needs service before you put it back on a job. Can you handle it? I can replace the roller. The hydraulic side should go to a shop. He frowned. How long? I don't know. Call Monday. We need it Wednesday. Then rent one. He leaned closer and worked the handle twice. I said, "Don't do that. It's moving. It's moving without a load." He released the handle. Ashley already thinks we spend too much on maintenance. Maintenance costs less than replacing it. I know. That was something Christopher said often. I know. It usually meant he agreed with me, but wasn't going to argue with Ashley. A white pickup stopped in my driveway. Ashley got out with a folder under one arm. She came through the open garage without knocking. Good, you're both here. She set the folder on my workbench, right beside the parts tray. One corner pushed through a thin line of grease. I lifted it and wiped the cover. Careful where you put paperwork. It's copies. Copies still stain. Ashley looked at the conduit bender. Is it fixed? No. Her eyes went to Christopher. He said, "Dad says it needs a service shop. We can't send it out this week." Then rent another one, I said. Ashley ignored that. She opened the folder and pulled out a materials list. I need you to look at this electrical order. The supplier flagged a couple of items. I read the first page. It covered materials for 2 renovation projects and a proposed addition in Rio Rancho. There were breaker panels, copper cable, recessed fixtures, boxes, fittings, and more specialty equipment than I expected. Did you get the addition? We're close. You have a signed contract? The clients gave us a verbal yes. I turned the page. This is a large order for a verbal yes. We need to reserve materials. You're ordering panels before they sign? Lead times are unpredictable. Christopher stepped beside me but didn't take the list. I asked, "How much room is left on the supplier account?" Ashley crossed her arms. Enough. That wasn't my question. We're managing it. The account had my name behind it. I thought that gave me the right to ask. Ashley thought signing the guarantee had been my entire role. Christopher said, "What items did they flag?" She pointed to 2 catalog numbers. I checked them and told her one panel was wrong for the plans she'd described. The other item was a commercial fixture that didn't belong on either job. Ashley tapped the page. The designer requested those. Which designer? The Rio Rancho client's designer, the client who hasn't signed. She took the list from my hand. Donald, I came for help with the item numbers. I didn't come for a review of the business. That landed harder than it should have. I had spent the morning with their equipment spread across my workbench. My retirement credit was carrying their materials. Yet, asking about an unsigned job was somehow outside my place. Christopher stared into his coffee cup. I waited for him to say something. He didn't. I pointed toward the bender. Take that with you. He looked surprised. You're not replacing the roller? Not until the hydraulic system is checked. Ashley gave a short breath through her nose. We don't have time for this. You don't have time for the tool to fail on somebody's job. It worked yesterday, and it stuck yesterday. That's why it's here. She looked at Christopher. Load it. He set down his coffee and rolled the bender toward the pickup. I watched him struggle with the uneven wheel. I almost helped. Then I kept my hands on the workbench. That was a small thing, but it mattered. I had developed a habit of stepping in before anyone asked properly. If Christopher lifted something heavy, I grabbed the other end. If Ashley mentioned a bill, I offered to cover it. If their schedule slipped, I gave them my Saturday. They rarely needed to ask because I was already moving. Ashley gathered the papers. Valerie will have the annual forms soon, she said. I told her we'd take care of everything at the contractor breakfast. I looked at her. What contractor breakfast? The supplier's yearly thing. Product demonstrations, account updates, all that. When is it? Next month. Why didn't Valerie contact me? She probably will. It's routine. The guarantee renewal had become so routine that Ashley spoke about my signature like a delivery date. She walked toward the driveway, then turned. Can you at least look at the compressor? Chris said it's losing pressure. Have him call me. He's standing right there. Then he can ask. Christopher had just reached the pickup. He stopped with one hand on the tailgate. Ashley looked from him to me. He said, Dad, would you mind checking the compressor? When do you need it? Monday morning. Bring it Sunday. I'll check for a leak. I won't buy parts until you approve the cost, Ashley said. Since when do you need approval for a compressor part? Since now. She stared at me for a moment, then got into the truck. Christopher remained by the tailgate. What's going on? He asked. I could ask you the same thing. With what? With ordering materials for work you don't have. He lowered his voice, although Ashley was inside the pickup with the windows up. She's trying to get ahead, using the supplier account. That's what it's for. It's for active jobs. We'll have the contract. When? Probably Monday. I nodded toward the pickup. You saw the order? Most of it. Before today? He rubbed the back of his neck. Ashley handles purchasing. That account carries my guarantee. I know, Dad. There it was again. I know. I asked, if the clients walk away, can you pay that order without another deposit? He didn't answer. Ashley tapped the horn once. Christopher glanced at her. We're not going to leave you holding anything. You already left me holding the risk. He looked hurt, and for a second, I felt guilty. That was my problem. I could state a fact and then rush to soften it before the other person had to sit with it. This time, I didn't. He said, we appreciate everything you do. I'd rather be consulted than appreciated afterward. Ashley tapped the horn again. Christopher picked up his coffee. I'll bring the compressor tomorrow. Call first. He nodded, then got into the truck. I watched them leave Mesquite Lane with the conduit bender tied upright in the bed. The loose wheels shook every time they crossed a seam in the pavement. Sunday passed without a call. The compressor didn't arrive. Christopher sent me a message around 6 that evening. Don't worry about tomorrow. Ash found someone. I read it twice. There was nothing rude in the words. Still, it felt like a door being closed because I had asked them to knock. On Monday morning, I drove to their warehouse. I had a box of repaired drill batteries in the passenger seat. I'd finished them before the argument and didn't see a reason to keep them. The warehouse was a rented metal unit near Candelaria Road. Christopher's pickup was gone. Ashley's white SUV was backed up to the open bay. Inside, 2 pallets of materials sat on the concrete floor. I recognized the labels from the list. The panels were there. So were the fixtures I had questioned. Several coils of copper cable were stacked behind them. The order hadn't been delayed for a signed contract. Ashley had placed it already. She came out of the office carrying a clipboard. What are you doing here? I brought the batteries. You could have left them at the house. I set the box on a folding table. Did the Rio Rancho clients sign? They're signing this week. So, no? Her expression changed. Not much, but enough. We had to move quickly. You told me you were checking item numbers. I was. You'd already ordered this. The order was processing. Same difference. She put down the clipboard. Donald, the company can't ask permission every time we buy materials. I'm not asking you to get permission. It sounds like you are. I'm asking you not to increase a balance guaranteed by me without telling me. We've never missed a payment. That doesn't make this reasonable. She looked toward the open bay, perhaps checking whether anyone else could hear. You've been anxious lately. I almost laughed. About this, yes. No, generally. You're getting stuck on things. I studied her face. What things? The bender. This order. That appointment mix-up last month. What appointment mix-up? She waved one hand. Exactly. I knew the appointment. A water heater estimate had moved from Thursday to Friday, and Christopher had forgotten to tell me. I remembered because I'd waited at the customer's empty house for 40 minutes. I said, don't do that. Do what? Turn a disagreement into something wrong with my memory. Her eyes held mine. Then she smiled. It wasn't warm. I'm only saying you haven't seemed like yourself. I picked up the empty battery crate. The annual guarantee is coming up. Yes, and I won't sign another one. For the first time that morning, Ashley looked genuinely startled. Then the surprise passed. Of course you will. No, you're upset right now. I'm clear right now. She lowered her voice. Christopher depends on that account. Then Christopher should have been part of this conversation before those pallets arrived. You're going to hurt your own son over one purchase. I'm going to stop guaranteeing purchases I don't approve. She folded her arms. You always say things when you're angry, then settle down. I wasn't angry. That seemed to bother her more. I said, tell Christopher what I said. You can tell him. I will. I went home, carried my old toolbox into the garage, and put it inside the steel cabinet. Then I closed the door, turned the key, and slipped it into my pocket instead of leaving it on the hook. The key stayed in my pocket while I made lunch. I kept touching it through my jeans, checking that it was still there. That was foolish. Nobody else had a key to the cabinet. Christopher had never needed one, because I always opened it for him. At 1:15, he called. Did you talk to Ashley? I did. She said you're refusing the renewal. That's right. There was a pause. I heard traffic behind him. Dad, can we talk about this when everybody's calmer? I'm calm now. I mean, in person. Come by. I'm heading to a job, then come after. He let out a breath. I don't want this turning into a whole thing. It already involves a whole account. That's not what I mean. I know what you mean. He wanted the discomfort reduced before the problem was discussed. I had taught him that, though I didn't recognize it yet. He said, I'll try to stop by. What time? I don't know. Later, call first. He didn't call. Around 4, I swept the garage. At 5, I closed the door. At 6, I heated vegetable soup and ate at the kitchen counter. The dining table was only 6 feet away, but sitting there by myself made the meal feel longer. My wife and I had eaten at that table almost every night. She liked cloth napkins even with sandwiches. She said paper napkins made dinner feel temporary. After she died, Christopher and Ashley came every Thursday for about 2 months. They brought food at first. Then I started cooking again. Thursday dinner became my job without anyone deciding it. I didn't mind cooking. I minded how carefully I protected the routine. If Ashley said they were running late, I kept everything warm. If Christopher canceled, I said it was no trouble. If they arrived and spent half the meal discussing a project, I asked questions so the conversation would continue. I thought those dinners meant they wanted to be with me. Sometimes they did. Other times, they wanted a favor near a plate. At 6:40, a truck door closed outside. Christopher came through the side gate and knocked on the kitchen door. He had the compressor with him. I opened the door but didn't step aside. You said you'd call. My phone died. There's a charger in your truck. He looked toward the garage. Can I leave this here? You can ask me to inspect it. His forehead creased. That's what I'm doing. No, you asked if you could leave it. All right. Will you inspect it? When do you need an answer? Tomorrow morning. That isn't enough time. I know. I'm sorry. He shifted the compressor in both hands. It weighed close to 50 pounds. He was waiting for me to take one side. I didn't. Set it down, I said. He lowered it onto the patio. Can we go inside? I let him in. He smelled like drywall dust and fast food. His work shirt had a streak of white joint compound near the shoulder. He looked at the saucepan on the stove. You eat already? Yes. Oh, you want soup? No. Ashley ordered something. He sat at the table. I stayed by the counter. He said, she shouldn't have placed the order without talking to me. That was the first straight answer I'd gotten. You didn't approve it? Not all of it. How much did you approve? The materials for the 2 active jobs. And Rio Rancho? We talked about what we'd need. That's different, I know. Did she tell you it had been ordered? Afterward. I pulled out the chair across from him. What did you say? I said we should have waited. And she said waiting could put us behind. That's not an answer. What do you want me to say, Dad? I want to know whether you told your wife she was wrong. His jaw tightened. I told her I would have handled it differently. That isn't the same thing. It is when you're married. No, it isn't. He looked down at the table. There was a shallow dent in the wood near his right hand. He had made that dent years earlier by dropping a heavy serving bowl. My wife had refused to have it repaired. She said a family table should show evidence. Christopher rubbed his thumb across the mark. Ashley thinks you don't trust her, he said. I don't trust that decision. She feels like you're judging everything she does. I asked about an order with my name behind it. Your name isn't on the purchase order. It's on the guarantee. He leaned back. We've paid the account for 8 years. That doesn't give you the next 8. His eyes lifted. You're serious. I was serious this morning. I thought you were trying to make a point. I was giving you a decision. But you haven't talked to Valerie. No. So nothing's final? I watched his face. He looked relieved by his own conclusion. I don't need Valerie's permission to stop. That's not what I said. It's what you're hoping. He pushed the chair back an inch. Can we not make this personal? I looked toward the counter. Beside the coffee maker sat my wife's blue mug. I had left it there for 4 years. Nobody mentioned it anymore. You brought a broken compressor to my house at dinner time, I said. You didn't ask whether I had eaten until you saw the pot. Then you asked me not to make your supplier account personal. That's unfair. Which part? I come over. When you need something? That isn't true. All right. When was the last time you came over without bringing a tool or paperwork? He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. I could see him counting backward. That hurt more than if he had answered badly. Finally, he said, We're busy, I know. You used to understand that. I still understand it. Then what are we doing? We're being accurate. He stood and walked to the sink. He looked out the window over the backyard. My wife had planted rosemary along the wall. Most of it had grown woody, but one section still turned green after rain. He said, I don't want you thinking I use you. I don't want to think that either. He turned around. I appreciate you. I believe you. Then why are you acting like this? Because appreciation isn't the same as consideration. He crossed his arms. It was the same posture Ashley had used in the warehouse. He must have noticed it too, because he dropped them again. Are you fixing the compressor? I looked at him for a long moment. Then I laughed once. I couldn't help it. He looked embarrassed. That's not why I came. You carried it to my door. I was already coming to talk. You didn't call. My phone died. So you drove here with a dead phone and a broken compressor to discuss how you don't use me. He picked up his keys. Forget it. Sit down. I should go. Christopher. He stopped. I hadn't raised my voice. I almost never did. He pulled out the chair and sat again. I said, I'll inspect the compressor tomorrow. If it needs a part, you'll pay for the part and my time. Your time? Yes. He looked genuinely confused. That told me everything. How much? I don't know yet. You've never charged us. That was my choice. And now I'm making a different choice. He nodded slowly. Fine. Say it clearly. What? Do you want me to inspect it under those terms? He looked toward the patio door. Yes. Please inspect it. Tell me the cost before you repair it. All right? That was the first direct request he'd made in a long time. It didn't repair anything between us, but at least the words matched the transaction. He started to leave, then looked back at the stove. Is that Mom's vegetable soup? Close to it. She used barley. I used rice. He smiled a little. She would have complained. She complained when she used rice too. He stayed another 10 minutes and ate one bowl standing at the counter. We didn't discuss the guarantee again. He told me a customer had changed cabinet colors after delivery. I told him about a homeowner who once moved every outlet mark after I had drilled the studs. For those 10 minutes, he was just my son. Then his phone rang. It hadn't been dead. He pulled it from his pocket and looked at the screen. Ashley, he said. I didn't answer. He took the call outside. Through the window, I watched him turn toward the wall and lower his voice. He came back for the compressor, then remembered he had left it for inspection. I'll call tomorrow, he said. Before you come. Right? After he left, I washed both bowls. I dried his and put it away. Mine stayed beside the sink while I stood there thinking about that phone. The lie itself was small. People said their phone died when they meant they hadn't wanted to call. I had probably done the same thing. What bothered me was how easily I had accepted it until the phone rang. I checked the compressor the next morning. The leak came from a cracked fitting near the regulator. The part was inexpensive. The labor took less than an hour. I sent Christopher a message. Fitting and 1 hour labor. I'll send the exact total after I get the part. He replied right away. Go ahead. Thank you. I bought the fitting that afternoon. When I returned, Ashley's SUV was parked in my driveway. She was sitting at my kitchen table with 3 pamphlets spread in front of her. One showed an older couple walking beside a swimming pool. Another had a smiling woman speaking with a doctor. The third was about planning for changing needs at home. Ashley had let herself in using the key we'd given her after my wife died. What are those? I asked. She looked up. I was waiting for you. I can see that. I thought we could talk. About what? She touched the pamphlet with the doctor on the cover. About what happened yesterday. I put the small paper bag containing the compressor fitting on the counter. Christopher told you? He didn't have to. You're suddenly charging him for repairs. He agreed to it. That isn't the point. It was the point when he brought the compressor. She glanced at the bag. How much are you charging? I haven't added it up. Do you need money? No? Then why charge your own son? I sat across from her. Because it's his company's equipment. You've always helped. Yes. So, what changed? The materials order. Her shoulders dropped as if she were tired of hearing about it. We already discussed that. You discussed it. I made a decision. You made a threat. No. I said I wouldn't sign the next guarantee. That would put us in a terrible position. Then you should start preparing. She slid the medical pamphlet toward me. Donald, I'm worried you're making major decisions because you feel slighted. I didn't touch it. You ordered those materials before telling Christopher. Her eyes narrowed. Did he say that? He answered my question. That was a private business discussion. It became my discussion when you used the account. She pulled the pamphlet back and aligned it with the other two. You've been more rigid since Elaine passed. That was the first time she had used my wife's name to explain me. I felt my hands go still on the table. Don't bring Elaine into this. I'm not trying to upset you. Then don't. She kept you balanced. You didn't know our marriage well enough to say that. I knew her for years. You saw her at dinners. I'm family. You're my daughter-in-law. That doesn't make you an expert on my wife. She looked toward the hall. Have you thought about talking to somebody? I'm talking to you. I mean professionally. About grief, about everything. I picked up the pamphlet with the pool on it. It was for a senior living community on the west side. Do you think I need to move? I didn't say that. You brought this into my house. It's information. Information for what? For the future. Whose future? She gave me that patient smile again. Nobody's trying to force you into anything. The word force hadn't crossed my mind until she said it. I stacked the pamphlets and handed them back. She didn't take them. Keep them, she said. No, you might want to read them later. I don't want them. She left them on the table anyway. Then she stood, picked up her purse, and checked her phone. Christopher said you forgot his phone was dead last night. I looked at her. He told me you accused him of lying. His phone rang. He charged it in the truck. He said the truck charger didn't work. Ashley shrugged. Maybe he forgot it did. There it was. Another ordinary inconsistency turned sideways until memory became the problem. I walked to the back door and opened it. She stared at me. Are you asking me to leave? Yes. Her face changed, and for 1 second she looked angry rather than concerned. I came because I care about you. You came with housing brochures after I refused to guarantee your account. That's not why I came. Then take them with you. She gathered the pamphlets and pushed them into her purse. One bent down the middle. At the doorway she said, You're isolating yourself. I asked you to leave my kitchen. That's not isolation. She stepped outside. I held out my hand. What? The house key. Her mouth opened slightly. Donald, come on. You entered without calling. I want the key back. We're family. Then you can knock. She dug through her purse, pulled the key from a side pocket, and placed it in my palm. I closed the door after her. For several minutes I stood in the kitchen with that key pressed into my hand. Taking it back felt good. What came afterward didn't. I looked at the empty chair where Christopher had eaten soup. Then I looked at the garage door and the compressor waiting on my bench. I had spent 4 years making myself useful enough that nobody had to decide whether they simply wanted me around. Ashley understood that before I did. I put her key in the drawer beside Elaine's reading glasses. Then I called Christopher and told him the compressor would be ready after he paid the invoice. He didn't argue. He asked me to send the amount, and I did. 20 minutes later, he paid it through the same invoice system Mesa Home Renewals used for customers. That surprised me. I had expected a complaint from Ashley or another discussion about family. Instead, the invoice showed paid in full. The next morning, Christopher arrived at 9. He knocked on the kitchen door and waited. I opened it. The compressor's in the garage, I said. Thanks. He followed me outside. I had replaced the cracked fitting, cleaned the regulator, and tested the tank under pressure. I showed him the old part. That crack was causing the leak. He turned the fitting in his fingers. Could I have found that? Probably. Would it have taken me all morning? Probably. He smiled. Then the invoice was fair. It was a small admission, but I appreciated it. He carried the compressor to his truck. When he returned for the cord, he looked toward my locked cabinet. Are the batteries ready too? They were ready Monday. I forgot them. I pointed to the box near the workbench. He picked it up. Did you invoice these? No. I repaired them before we discussed the new arrangement. You could still charge us. I could. I won't. He nodded. Going forward, send everything through the company, he said. That's what I intend to do. All right. I waited for him to mention the guarantee. He didn't. He loaded the box, thanked me, and left for work. The exchange went smoothly because both of us knew what had been asked and what it cost. That should have felt ordinary. Instead, it felt new. I went back inside and opened the file drawer beneath my desk. I kept one folder for Mesa Home Renewals. It held copies of the original guarantee, past renewals, supplier notices, and a few paid invoices from emergencies I had covered. The folder was thicker than I remembered. The earliest papers were neat. My wife had helped me organize them. Every year had its own paperclip and a note written in her small handwriting. Renewed, she had written on one. Ask Chris about balance, she had written on another. The last note was from 2021. After she died, I had kept stuffing documents into the folder without sorting them. There were receipts for equipment parts, 2 checks I had written when customer payments came late, and a credit card statement with a hotel charge from a job in Santa Fe. Christopher had promised to reimburse that charge. I couldn't find any record that he had. I sat at the desk and added the amounts. I stopped halfway through. The total wasn't ruinous. That wasn't what bothered me. It was the number of times I had volunteered before anyone had explained the problem. A crew needed lodging, so I paid. A customer's check was late, so I covered payroll supplies. A drill failed, so I bought another. Every payment had seemed temporary and reasonable by itself. Together, they showed a pattern I had helped create. I found the most recent supplier statement. It was dated 5 months earlier. That was odd. As guarantor, I had received courtesy copies of account statements for years. They usually arrived in a white envelope with the supplier's green logo. I didn't study every line, but I checked the balance. I searched the drawer again. Nothing. I checked the basket where I kept unopened mail, then the stack beside the refrigerator. The newest supplier envelope was still 5 months old. Ashley had said Valerie would probably contact me. Maybe Valerie had tried. Maybe I had misplaced something. After what Ashley had said about my memory, I didn't want to guess. I went through the recycling bin in the garage. Then I checked my email. I searched the supplier's name, Valerie's name, guarantee, renewal, and account. There were no recent messages. I called the number printed on the old statement. A receptionist transferred me to credit. Valerie answered after 2 rings. Credit services, this is Valerie. Valerie, it's Donald Wheeler. Donald, how are you? I'm all right. Do you have a minute? For you, yes. I could hear keys clicking. What can I help with? I haven't received an account statement in several months. The clicking stopped. For Mesa Home renewals, yes. Let me pull up the contact history. I waited. Valerie had managed contractor credit for years. She spoke slowly when money was involved and never used 6 words when 3 would do. She said, the company changed its delivery preference in March. Changed it how? Statements now go by email to the business office. Who requested that? The account administrator. Ashley? Yes. Did the request remove my copies? Another short pause. It removed paper copies from the distribution list. Was I notified? I don't see a separate notice. Could she remove me? She can change delivery for company statements. She can't change your guarantee terms or your personal contact information. I looked at the old envelope on my desk. What address do you have for me? She read my Mesquite Lane address and my email. She read an old address I still used. So the information is correct. Yes. But the statement stopped. Yes. That confirmed the first thing I needed to know. I hadn't misplaced 5 months of mail. The copies had been redirected. I asked, what's the current balance? Valerie became quiet again. As guarantor, you're entitled to that information. I need to verify 2 items first. She asked for my date of birth and the last 4 digits of my identification number. I gave them to her. The keyboard clicked. The current balance is $32,000. I sat back. Exactly? Just under, but it will post at 32 after a pending freight charge. How much of that came from the latest materials order? She gave me the amount. It was most of the increase since the previous statement. Who authorized it? The purchase order lists Ashley Wheeler. Was Christopher listed? No. I rubbed my forehead. Has the order shipped? Most of it has been delivered. Some fixtures are still pending. Can the pending items be canceled? Possibly, but only the company can request that. There may be a restocking charge. I knew better than to ask Valerie to manage a family dispute. She administered the account. She wasn't there to take sides. I said, Ashley mentioned the annual renewal. It's approaching. She said the forms would be handled at the contractor breakfast. That's one option. Do you have the form? It's in my office. Does the guarantee renew automatically if I do nothing? No. The answer came without hesitation. It requires your fresh signature each year, she said. The current guarantee expires at the end of next month. And if I don't sign? The account converts to cash only when the guarantee expires. The existing balance becomes due under the standing terms. How long do they have? 30 days after expiration. I wrote that down. Can Ashley sign for me? No. Can Christopher? No. Can either of them accept it electronically using the company account? No. We require your signature and direct verification. I looked at the folder in front of me. I had known my signature mattered. I hadn't understood how completely the renewal depended on a new decision from me. What happens if I refuse now? I marked the renewal declined. The present account terms remain until expiration unless there's a default. After that, cash only begins, and the balance is due within 30 days. Would you tell them immediately? I would usually discuss the account status at the scheduled review. The breakfast? Yes. Their review is on the breakfast agenda because Ashley asked to combine them. I looked at the calendar. The contractor breakfast was 3 weeks away. Did she say I had agreed to sign there? Valerie chose her words carefully. She said the guarantee would be completed there. That isn't what I asked. No, Donald. She didn't tell me you had personally agreed. That distinction mattered. Ashley had implied certainty without making a statement Valerie could challenge. I said, I'm not signing. Valerie didn't react. Do you want me to mark the renewal declined? Yes. I need you to say that you understand the account will become cash only after expiration, and the balance will become due within 30 days. I understand. And this is your decision? It is. I heard her type. The renewal is marked declined. The words settled differently when someone outside the family said them. I had drawn a boundary in my kitchen. Now it existed in a credit office. I asked, will the company receive an automatic notice today? No. The account remains active under its current terms. I'll address the renewal status at the scheduled review. Please don't discuss my decision before then. Is there a business reason? I want Ashley and Christopher to manage the account based on what they know, not pressure me before the review. Valerie was silent for a moment. I can keep your individual decision private until the account review, she said. I can't hide changes once the current term ends, and I won't misstate the status if there's a default. I wouldn't ask you to. I'll also restore your courtesy statements. Paper and email, both. Done. Can you send the last 5 months? I'll send them today. Thank you. Donald? Yes? Review the pending orders when you receive them. Her tone had changed slightly. Why? There are several authorizations close together. They may all be legitimate, but you should know what your guarantee currently covers. That was useful information. It also gave me another reason not to tell Ashley what I had done. I ended the call and wrote Valerie's answers beneath the dates on the old statement. Fresh signature required. Cash only after expiration. $32,000 due within 30 days. For several minutes I stared at those lines. Refusing the renewal protected me. It didn't make the existing balance disappear. My name remained behind it until the current term ended, and Mesa Home Renewals had already used nearly every bit of room Ashley thought it had. I opened my checkbook register. There were the past emergency payments, the Santa Fe Hotel, a supplier payment from the previous winter, replacement parts, fuel for a rented generator. None had been demanded. Most had begun with Christopher mentioning a problem and me offering the solution. Ashley had taken advantage of that, but she hadn't invented it. I had confused being needed with being included. The email from Valerie arrived 15 minutes later. It contained 5 statements and a current activity report. I printed them. The missing statements showed a steady rise, not one sudden jump. Smaller orders had accumulated across several jobs. Payments came in, but new charges arrived faster. The latest materials order had pushed the balance close to the limit. I checked each authorization. Most listed Ashley. 2 listed Christopher. 1 listed an employee's first name and job number. Nothing looked stolen or invented. The problem was simpler. They were leaning harder on credit each month. The company was busier than it had been the year before, but it had less room to breathe. That afternoon, I drove past their warehouse. I didn't go inside. The bay door was open. Christopher stood near the pallets, talking to a man with a clipboard. Ashley was in the office, visible through the glass, holding her phone to her ear. The remaining Rio Rancho fixtures sat near the loading area. Their labels matched the pending items Valerie had mentioned. I parked across the street and called Christopher. He answered while still standing near the pallets. "Hey, Dad, did the Rio Rancho clients sign?" His shoulders shifted. Not yet. Why not? They want another revision. Do they still intend to hire you? They say they do. Have you considered canceling the pending fixtures? He turned away from the man with the clipboard. How do you know they're pending? I checked the account. He glanced toward the office window. With Valerie? Yes. What did she say? She gave me the current statements. Ashley handles those. I'm the guarantor. He lowered his voice. Dad, are you trying to interfere with orders now? I'm asking whether you've considered reducing the balance. We need the materials if the job signs. And if it doesn't, we'll use them somewhere else. You can use specialty fixtures somewhere else. We'll figure it out. That answer had supported half the unpaid repairs in my garage. I said, the balance is $32,000. He went quiet. You knew that? I asked. I knew it was high. Did you know the amount? No. Why not? Ashley manages the account. You co-own the company. I'm standing in the middle of a workday, Dad. So am I, apparently. He turned farther from the office. What exactly did Valerie tell you? She confirmed I'm entitled to statements. That's all? The question was too quick. I said, what are you worried she told me? Nothing. I just don't like you calling our supplier because you're angry with Ashley. I called because my statement stopped. He didn't answer. Did you know she redirected them? I asked. I knew we went paperless. You knew my copies stopped? I didn't think about it. That isn't the same as no. Dad, I have to go. Cancel the fixtures before you lose the option. I'll talk to Ashley. Make your own decision. He looked through the office glass. Ashley had turned toward him. I said, I'll talk to her. He ended the call. From across the street, I watched him put the phone in his pocket. Ashley came out of the office and walked toward him. He said something. She looked immediately across the road. I pulled away before she could reach her SUV. When I arrived home, a message from Christopher was waiting. Please don't contact Valerie again without telling us. I read it, then placed the phone beside the printed statements. He hadn't asked why my mail had been redirected. He hadn't asked to see the balance. He had asked me to stop looking. I opened my contacts, found Valerie's number, and saved it under her full name. Then I placed the 5 missing statements in order inside the folder. I had just closed the drawer when someone knocked at the front door. Ashley stood on the porch with a woman I didn't recognize. The woman held a tablet and wore a badge clipped to her blouse. Ashley smiled. Good, you're home. I kept one hand on the door. Who is this? The woman offered her hand. I'm Marla. I'm a home transition consultant. I didn't take her hand. What? I help families evaluate safety needs, household support, transportation, and future living options. Ashley stepped closer to the door. It's the consultation I mentioned. You didn't mention a consultation. I did. At the kitchen table. You brought pamphlets. I told you to take them. Marla looked from Ashley to me. Mr. Wheeler, were you expecting an appointment today? No. Ashley spoke before I could say more. He's been under stress. That's part of why I wanted an outside opinion. Marla's expression changed. She lowered the tablet. I was told Mr. Wheeler agreed to an initial home visit. I didn't. Ashley gave a little laugh. This is exactly what I've been trying to explain. I looked at her. Explain what? You don't remember the conversation. I remember it clearly. You left brochures after I asked you not to. Donald, nobody is trying to take over your house. Marla took one step back from the doorway. I think there's been a misunderstanding. There hasn't, I said. I didn't request your service, and I don't consent to an evaluation. That's completely fine. Ashley turned to her. Could you give us 1 minute? No, I said. She can stay long enough to answer one question. Marla waited. I asked, what were you told before coming here? Ashley said, that's private. It's about me. Marla touched the edge of her tablet. The referral said the homeowner was open to discussing support after some recent concerns. What concerns? I'd rather not get into family details on a porch. Were the concerns provided by Ashley? Marla nodded. Ashley shook her head. This is becoming ridiculous. I said, what did she tell you? Marla's voice stayed careful. She mentioned missed appointments, confusion about business paperwork, increased isolation, and possible safety concerns involving tools. I looked past Ashley toward her SUV. The conduit bender had become a safety concern. The supplier statements had become confusion. Asking for my key back had become isolation. I said, Did she tell you I still work on electrical equipment? She said, you spend long periods alone in a garage workshop. Did she mention I'm a retired electrician? Marla looked at Ashley. No. Ashley's face tightened. That doesn't change the concern. It changes whether the tools belong there, I said. Marla put the tablet under her arm. Mr. Wheeler, I won't conduct a visit without your consent. Thank you. I apologize for the confusion. It wasn't yours. She reached into her bag and handed me a card. If you want a copy of the referral intake, email that address. Since it concerns you, I can release the basic notes after verifying your identity. Ashley turned sharply. Those were my private observations. Marla said, you submitted them for an assessment of his home. I didn't expect you to hand them over. I'm not discussing this further on the porch. She walked toward the street. Ashley followed her down the path. I heard Ashley say, I'm sorry. He isn't usually like this, Marla answered. Please don't schedule another visit unless he agrees. That was the first outside person Ashley had brought into the situation. It was also the first one who had asked whether I had consented. The answer had ended the visit in under 5 minutes. Ashley waited until Marla drove away. Then she came back up the path. You embarrassed me. You brought a stranger to inspect my house. She was here to help. She was here because you gave her a list of claims. Observations? Why didn't you tell her I was an electrician? Because that doesn't mean you're safe forever. Did you tell Christopher about this visit? Of course. He agreed? He knows I'm worried. That wasn't my question. She stepped onto the porch. You've changed your financial support without warning. You're charging Chris for things you've always done freely. You took away my key. You called Valerie behind our backs. Now you're refusing a basic conversation about planning. Those are decisions you dislike. They aren't symptoms. You don't see how extreme you're being. I see you standing outside because you no longer have a key. Her cheeks reddened. That's cruel. No, it's a locked door. She stared at me, then looked past my shoulder into the house. Where are the supplier statements? In my office. You printed them? Yes. Why? To read them. You're going through company purchases now? I'm reviewing the debt I guarantee. She lowered her voice. Did Valerie say anything about the renewal? She explained the terms. What terms? The terms on the form. Did you tell her you weren't signing? That was the first direct question. I didn't answer it. Ashley watched my face. What did you do, Donald? I asked you to prepare for the end of my guarantee. You're trying to scare us. No? Then answer me. I'm not discussing my individual credit decision on the porch. She took out her phone. I'm calling Christopher. That's your choice. She tapped his name and put the phone to her ear. He answered almost immediately. Your dad just threw a consultant out of his house, she said. I remained in the doorway. No, she left because I hadn't consented. Ashley held up one finger. He's standing here arguing over every word. She listened. Yes, the home consultation. I told you. That answered my question. Christopher had known. She handed me the phone. He wants to talk to you. I took it. Christopher said, Dad, what happened? Did you agree to the home visit? Ashley said someone could look at safety options. Did she tell you I agreed? I assumed she talked to you. Why would you assume that after I took back her key? He was quiet. I said. She told the consultant. I'm confused about business paperwork. She's worried. Are you? I don't know. You know whether I'm confused about the supplier account. You're focused on it more than usual. Because the balance is $32,000. Ashley was watching me closely. Christopher said, Could we all sit down tonight to discuss the account, to discuss everything? What does everything mean? You, the company, the way things have been going. I'm available at 6. At our house? No. Mine. He hesitated. Fine. I gave the phone back to Ashley. She ended the call. We'll be here at 6. Call before you come. You just agreed to 6. Then calling should be easy. She put the phone into her purse. You always needed Elaine to tell you when you were digging in. I closed the door. My hand shook afterward. Not much, just enough that the chain made a faint sound against the wood. I stood there until the shaking stopped. Then I emailed the address on Marla's card. Her office replied with an identity form. I completed it and sent a photograph of my driver's license. An hour later, I received a copy of the intake notes. The referral had been made the day after my conversation with Ashley in the warehouse, before she left the pamphlets, before she sat in my kitchen and asked what had changed. The notes listed 4 concerns. The missed dentist appointment was there. The water heater estimate was described as an incident where I arrived on the wrong day. My refusal to repair the conduit bender was described as difficult completing familiar mechanical tasks. My questions about the materials order were described as confusion over routine company purchasing. At the bottom, Ashley had written that I might resist assistance because I was proud of my former trade. I printed the page and placed it beside the supplier's statements. That was the useful piece of truth. Ashley hadn't begun worrying after our argument became heated. She had started building an explanation for my refusal almost immediately. At 5:55, Christopher called. "We're outside." I opened the door. Ashley carried her purse and a thin folder. Christopher had nothing in his hands. We sat at the dining table. I put the referral notes in front of them. Christopher read the first page. "You requested this the next day?" he asked Ashley. We had already talked about his behavior. "When?" "Several times." "With me?" "Yes." "You said he'd been forgetting things." "You didn't say you were arranging a home assessment. It was a free consultation," I said. "You told the consultant I couldn't complete a familiar repair." Ashley looked at the page. "You refused to fix the bender. I identified a hydraulic problem and told you to send it for service. You've repaired it before. I replaced a hose before. That isn't the same repair." Christopher read the sentence twice. "He did tell us to rent one," he said. Ashley turned to him. "That isn't the issue. It's one of your examples. One example doesn't erase the pattern." "What pattern?" I asked. She opened her folder. Inside were printed pages with dates in the left margin. "I've been keeping notes." Christopher looked surprised. "For how long?" "A few weeks." I checked the top page. The first date came before the materials order. There were entries about repeated questions, forgotten conversations, irritability, isolation, and financial decisions that didn't fit my usual behavior. I pointed to one. "What conversation did I repeat here?" Ashley leaned over. "The cabinet discussion?" "What cabinet?" "The cabinets for the Montgomery kitchen." "I wasn't involved in that job." "You asked Chris about the color twice." Christopher said. "He asked why the delivered cabinets were being returned." "Twice," Ashley said. "On different days." She looked at him. "That still counts." I read another entry. "This says I forgot where the compressor was." "You asked Chris whether he was bringing it Sunday after he'd already left it." "That didn't happen." "Yes, it did." Christopher rubbed his chin. "I don't remember that." Ashley turned to him. "You told me." "When?" "When you got home." He stared at the papers. "I said Dad asked when I needed it back." "No." "You said he forgot you dropped it off." "I don't think I said that." She pulled the folder closer. "This is why I wrote things down. I understood then why the notes mattered. A written date looked more reliable than a conversation nobody could quite remember. It didn't need to be completely false. It only needed one ordinary event with the meaning changed. I asked Christopher, "Do you think I'm having memory problems?" He kept looking at the page. "I think we should make sure you're okay." "That's not an answer. I've noticed things." "What things?" "You repeat yourself sometimes. So do you. You missed the dentist. One appointment." Ashley said, "You're getting defensive. I'm being accused." Christopher put down the page. "Would you see a doctor?" I looked at him. "If a doctor says you're fine, then everybody can stop worrying." Ashley's shoulders loosened slightly. I asked, "And if I refuse?" That would worry me more. There it was. The choice had already been arranged. Agreeing meant they were reasonable. Refusing became another symptom. Ashley said, "I found a physician who does cognitive assessments." "You already found one?" "I made a preliminary appointment." Christopher looked at her. "You scheduled it?" The clinic had a cancellation. "For when?" "Next Thursday morning," I asked. "What's the physician's name?" "Stephanie Wood." "Did you give her these notes?" "The clinic asked why we were coming. Did you send them?" "Not yet." I closed the folder. "I'll attend." Ashley blinked. Christopher said, "You will?" "Yes." Relief moved across his face so quickly that I almost took comfort from it. Then Ashley reached for the folder. I kept my hand on it. "These pages concern me," I said. "I want copies. They're my personal notes. You brought them into my house to support a medical claim. They're on my phone too. Then making copies shouldn't be difficult." She pulled the folder from beneath my hand. "I'll provide them to the doctor." I looked at Christopher. "Do you agree with every incident in there?" He didn't answer. Ashley stood. This is exactly why we need an objective assessment. I stood too. At my appointment, I answer first. Neither of you speaks for me unless the doctor asks. Christopher nodded. Ashley said, "Fine." And nobody enters my house without my permission. "We understand," Christopher said. I looked at Ashley. She slipped the folder into her purse. "I understand," she said. They left together. The next morning, Dr. Wood's clinic called to confirm an appointment I had never made, based on symptoms I had never reported. The receptionist said Ashley had asked to be listed as the family contact. I told her to leave the appointment in place, remove Ashley as the contact, and send every form directly to me. The receptionist paused while she changed the record. "All future communication will go to you," she said. "Thank you. Do you want Mrs. Wheeler removed from the appointment completely?" "No. She can attend if the doctor allows it. She just doesn't speak for me. I'll note that." A few minutes later, the clinic forms arrived in my email. I completed them at the kitchen table. One page asked who had first noticed the concern. I wrote, "My daughter-in-law," after I refused a financial guarantee renewal. The next question asked what changes I had noticed in myself. I wrote, "None beyond ordinary forgetfulness." I listed my medications, prior surgeries, and my wife's death. I gave permission for Dr. Wood to speak with Christopher and Ashley during the appointment. I did not give either of them permission to make decisions for me. When I finished, I printed a copy. Ashley called that afternoon. "Did you remove me from the clinic file?" "I removed you as the family contact." "Why?" "Because I'm the patient. I scheduled the appointment. That doesn't make it yours. The doctor needs information from someone who's observed you. You can give information when she asks." "So, now you're controlling what I'm allowed to say?" "No. I'm controlling my own file." She went quiet. Then she said, "Chris told me you kept the referral notes. I kept a copy. You're treating everything like evidence? You've been writing down my behavior for weeks. That's different. How? I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to understand what you're doing." She ended the call without saying goodbye. The next morning, Christopher called before 7. "Dad, are you awake?" "Yes." "We've got a problem with the bender." I sat up in bed. "What happened?" "The roller locked under load. It twisted a length of conduit and pushed the frame out." "Was anybody hurt?" "No. Are you sure?" "Everybody's fine." "Where is it?" "At a job near Mainall." "Why was it on a job?" "We needed it." "I told you to send the hydraulic system out." "I know. Did you?" "No. I put my feet on the floor." "What do you want from me?" "Can you look at it?" "It needs a service shop." "I need to know what failed first." Ashley says the roller work caused it. There was no roller work. You cleaned it. I cleaned the outside and inspected it. She thinks you took something apart. She was standing there when I said it wasn't fixed. I remember. Does she? He didn't answer. I looked at the clock. "Bring it to the garage at 9. Don't operate it again. We already loaded it. Call before you arrive." "We will." They came at 9:12. Christopher called from the driveway. The bender was strapped to a small utility trailer. One side of the frame leaned inward, and a length of conduit remained wedged against the shoe. Ashley got out of the truck holding her phone. She began recording before I reached the trailer. I stopped. "What are you doing?" "Documenting the condition." "For the repair company?" "For our records." Then start with Christopher saying, "I told you not to use it." She lowered the phone. "We're trying to determine what happened. We know what happened. You used damaged equipment. We used equipment you inspected. I inspected it and rejected it. You didn't put that in writing." Christopher climbed out of the truck. "Ashley, what?" He didn't. I looked at him. "Did I tell you it needed professional service?" "Yes." "Did I tell you to rent another one?" "Yes." Ashley raised the phone again. "He's leading you." Christopher looked tired. "He's asking what he said." She pointed toward the bender. "You worked on the rollers Saturday. Then this roller seized. I wiped the rollers, found the rough spot, and told you not to use it. You had tools out for inspection." "What tools?" "A rag, a light, and a small pick." She stared at me. I said, "Keep recording if you want." I opened the garage and brought out 2 wheel chocks. Christopher helped me secure the trailer. I took photographs before touching anything. Then I used a flashlight to look beneath the frame. The rough roller had stopped turning. A bright flat mark showed where the conduit had dragged across it. The hydraulic ram had continued pushing after the roller seized. That pressure had bent a mounting bracket. I showed Christopher. See the flat spot? He leaned closer. Yes. That wasn't there Saturday. It came from dragging conduit across a locked roller. Ashley said, which proves the roller failed. It proves you used it after I warned you. Could your inspection have caused it to lock? No. How can you be sure? Because I didn't remove the shaft, bearing, clip, or grease fitting. You expect us to take your word for that? I looked at her phone. You brought it here asking for my opinion. We brought it here because you were the last person to touch it. Christopher said, the crew used it Tuesday. Ashley turned toward him. Don't. He looked back at her. They did. I asked, how many bends? I don't know, at least 20. Any trouble? They said the return was slow, and they kept using it. They were behind. I pointed to a smear of dark oil beneath the ram. The seal has been leaking. That's probably why the return was slow. The roller was already rough. Either problem was enough to stop using it. Christopher crouched beside the trailer. Can it be repaired? Probably. Not here. Ashley put her phone away. Convenient. I stood. What does that mean? It means you refuse to fix something, it breaks, and now you get to say you were right. You think I wanted this? I think you're making a point at our expense. You made this point yourselves. Her eyes moved toward my garage cabinet. You've become vindictive over one order. I looked at Christopher. Tell her what happened. He stood but didn't face either of us. Dad warned us. Not that, Ashley said. Tell him why we couldn't rent another bender. I waited. Christopher rubbed both hands over his face. We're tight on cash until 2 customers pay. You told me the company was doing well. We have work. That isn't what I asked. We're doing well on paper, Ashley said. This has nothing to do with the bender. It explains why you used unsafe equipment instead of renting. We made an operational decision. And now you want me responsible for it. No one said responsible. You brought a camera for documentation. Documentation of what? She didn't answer. I turned to Christopher. Take it to a service shop. Give them the photographs from before I touched it. Tell them exactly when the return started sticking. Will you send me the pictures? Yes. And something saying what you found? I'll send a short description, nothing more. Ashley gave a humorless laugh. Now he's writing reports. You started keeping notes first. That stopped her. Christopher looked between us. Can everybody please stop? I said. I'm not fighting with you. I'm refusing blame. He nodded once. I know. Ashley heard it. She walked back to the passenger side and closed the door hard. Christopher remained beside the trailer. I'm sorry, he said quietly. For bringing it, for using it. Then don't blame the crew. You knew. He looked at the bent frame. I know. And don't ask me to pay for it. I wasn't going to. Was Ashley? He glanced at the truck. She said, since you'd serviced it, we should talk to you. I didn't service it. I understand. Put that in a message. His face changed. What? Send me a message saying I warned you, I didn't repair it, and the company chose to use it. Why? Because your wife just recorded my garage and asked whether I caused the failure. Dad. If it's true, send it. He looked toward the passenger window. Ashley's face was turned away. All right. They drove off with the damaged bender still strapped to the trailer. 10 minutes later, Christopher's message arrived. You told us Saturday the bender needed professional service and said to rent one. You did not tell us it was repaired. We used it Tuesday without having it serviced. I saved the message and printed it. The deliberate part mattered. I had asked him for a clear statement before the details could be softened later. He had given it. That result cost him something too. He had contradicted Ashley in writing. By noon, he called again. Ashley wants me to delete the message. That won't delete my copy, I know. Was anything in it false? No. Then why does she want it deleted? She says it makes us look negligent. You were negligent. Dad, I'm trying to keep the business moving, and I'm trying not to be blamed for your decision. He lowered his voice. She thinks you're collecting things to use against us. I'm keeping records because she changes the meaning afterward. She says you've always been suspicious. That isn't true. I didn't say it was. I looked at the printed clinic form. Does she still plan to attend the assessment? Yes. Do you? She wants me there. I asked whether you do. I think I should be there. Why? To support you. Support me against what? He had no answer. I said, bring your own memories. Don't borrow hers. That's not fair. It's very fair. He ended the call. That evening, I received an email from Mesa Home Renewals. My access to the shared maintenance calendar had been removed. I had used that calendar for years. It showed what equipment needed attention, which tools were being dropped off, and when Christopher expected repairs completed. Ashley had once called it my schedule, even though I'd never been paid to follow it. The message said my access had changed because of an administrative update. I called Christopher. Did you remove me from the maintenance calendar? Ashley did. Why? She says all service work needs to go through approved vendors. Am I an approved vendor? Not right now. I waited. He said, you wanted clearer boundaries. I did. This is part of that. Then it should have been a direct conversation. I'm telling you now, after the system told me, he sighed. What do you want, Dad? I want my personal tools returned. Which ones? The circuit tracer, the crimping set, and the inspection camera. Aren't those company tools? No, they're mine. I thought you gave them to us. I loaned them. For years. They're marked with my initials. I'll look. Have them back by Friday. Why Friday? Because they belong to me. He went quiet. All right. After the call, I opened the cabinet and checked the foam spaces where those tools belonged. I had forgotten how long they'd been empty. I found old photographs on my phone showing the serial numbers. Then I emailed the photographs to Christopher. Ashley replied from the company address. We need time to verify ownership due to Donald's recent confusion concerning company property. We will discuss this with the physician next Thursday. Christopher was copied. I waited for him to answer. He didn't. An hour later, a second email arrived. It was a calendar invitation from Ashley for a family meeting the night before the assessment. The subject line was competency and financial planning. I declined the invitation. 2 minutes later, Christopher called. Why did you decline? Because I don't accept a meeting labeled competency and financial planning. It's just a title. Titles mean something. Ashley was trying to make the subject clear. She succeeded. He lowered his voice. Can we meet without fighting over the wording? Are you planning to discuss my health or the guarantee? Both. Then the wording isn't the problem. He went quiet. I asked, did you send my tools? I found the circuit tracer. And the others? We're looking. They're in the locked cabinet beside your job boxes. How do you know? I put them there. Ashley changed that lock. That was new. When? A while ago. Why? We had some things go missing. Who has the key? She does. Then ask her to open it. She wants to verify the serial numbers first. I sent you photographs. I know. Do the numbers match? I haven't checked. Why not? I'm working. So am I. You're retired, Dad. The words came out before he could stop them. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Finally, he said, that's not what I meant. It's what you said. I meant I'm at a customer's house. Then call me after you check the tools. He didn't call that day. Friday afternoon, he brought the circuit tracer to my house. He left it on the porch in a plastic grocery bag and rang the bell. I opened the door before he reached the gate. Where's the case? He turned around. What case? The hard case with the leads and clamps. That's all I found. The tracer isn't complete without those. I'll look again. And the crimping set? Still checking. The inspection camera? Same. I picked up the grocery bag. The tracer had paint on one side and dried adhesive around the battery cover. Why didn't you bring it inside? I have to go. You drove here. Ashley's waiting. She's always waiting when you need to leave. He looked toward the street. She's upset that you're building a case against us. I asked for my tools. You asked me to put statements in writing. You requested records from Valerie. You got notes from the consultant, all after your wife began documenting me. She thinks you're preparing to hurt the company. I'm protecting myself. From me? I looked at him. That depends on what you're helping her do. He took one step back. I'm not doing anything to you. Then return my property and stop calling my decisions symptoms. I never called them symptoms. You agreed to attend a competency meeting. I agreed to talk about whether I'm competent. He rubbed his forehead. Will you please meet with us Wednesday? At my house. That's fine. No folder of private decisions already made. No consultant. No forms for me to sign. His eyes shifted. What forms? You tell me. I don't know. I believed him then. He looked confused, not evasive. I said, Ask Ashley what she plans to bring. He nodded. Before he left, he looked at the grocery bag. I'm sorry about the case. Find the rest. That evening, my wife's cousin called. We spoke every few months, usually on birthdays or holidays. She asked about my health before she asked anything else. My health is fine, I said. Christopher mentioned you were getting checked. When did he tell you that? There was a pause. I think Ashley did. What exactly did she say? Just that the family was concerned. Concerned about what? Your memory. Some financial decisions. I walked to the kitchen window. Who else has she told? I don't know, Donald. I assumed everybody knew. Everybody doesn't. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought it up. No, I'm glad you did. She tried to change the subject. We talked about the heat and her air conditioner. After we hung up, another detail stayed with me. She had said financial decisions. The assessment hadn't happened. Dr. Wood hadn't met me. Yet Ashley was already telling relatives that my finances belonged in the same conversation as my memory. On Monday, Christopher sent me photographs of the inspection camera and crimping set inside the warehouse cabinet. The serial numbers matched mine. I called him immediately. When will you return them? I can bring them Wednesday. Bring them today. I can't. Why? Ashley says the company may have paid for them. The serial numbers match my records. She wants receipts. The photographs I sent were taken in my garage before your company existed. I pointed that out. And she says photographs don't prove you didn't transfer them later. Do you believe I gave them to the company? I thought you did. You thought that after you saw my initials engraved on both cases? You gave us a lot of equipment. I loaned you a lot of equipment. We never made a list. That was my mistake. He didn't argue. I said, return them by 5. I can't leave the job. Then I'll come to the warehouse. Dad, don't. Why? Ashley doesn't want you there unless she's present. She doesn't own my tools. She manages the facility. You co-own the company. I'm asking you not to make a scene. I've never made a scene at your warehouse. I know. Then whose words are those? He went silent. At 4:30, I drove there. The bay door was closed. Christopher's truck was parked outside, but Ashley's SUV wasn't. I knocked on the office door. Christopher opened it halfway. I asked you not to come. I told you I would. This isn't helping. Open the equipment cabinet. I don't have the key. Call Ashley. She's in a meeting. Then we wait. His face hardened. You can't stand here all afternoon. It's 4:30. We're closed. You're here. He stepped outside and pulled the door shut behind him. Dad, please go home. I looked through the office window. The printed maintenance calendar hung on the wall. My name had been covered with white labels. Did the service shop inspect the bender? Yes. What did they find? A seized roller and a leaking ram seal. What did they say caused the frame damage? Continued use after the roller stopped. So my inspection didn't cause it. No? Did you tell Ashley? She saw the report. Then why hasn't she corrected her email? What email? The one suggesting I was confused about company property after damaging equipment. It didn't say you damaged it, it connected the two. He looked down. I said, send me the service report. It's a company document. I don't need the whole report. Send the finding about continued use. He shook his head. No. It was the first time he had refused me that directly. Why not? Because every answer becomes another record. The record proves I didn't cause the damage. I know that. Then why protect the accusation? I'm protecting the company. From the truth, from this getting worse. A pickup passed behind me, and the driver raised 2 fingers toward Christopher. Christopher returned the gesture automatically. I stood on that concrete walkway and realized I was no longer welcome at a business I had supported since it opened. Not because I had harmed it, because I had stopped absorbing harm quietly. I said, return my tools Wednesday. I will. All of them, complete. He nodded. I went home. Wednesday evening, they arrived at 6 with both cases. The inspection camera was missing its charging cable. The crimping set was complete. Christopher placed them near the garage door. I ordered a replacement cable, he said. It'll come to your house. Thank you. Ashley carried a folder into the dining room. I looked at Christopher. What's in it? He shook his head slightly. He still didn't know. We sat down. Ashley opened the folder and removed a packet bearing the name of the county court. Across the top were the words petition for determination of incapacity and appointment of a decision maker. The blanks weren't all completed. My name and address were filled in. Ashley's name appeared in a section asking who had knowledge of the alleged condition. Christopher stared at it. "What is that?" "An option," she said. "You said this was financial planning." "It is." I kept my hands under the table. "Have you filed this?" "No." "Have you signed it?" "No." "Why is my information on it?" "Because if Dr. Wood identifies serious impairment, we need to know the next step." Christopher turned toward her. "You told me the appointment was for reassurance." "It is." "But we can't be unprepared," I asked. "Unprepared for what?" "For you making harmful decisions, such as refusing the guarantee. That's one example." Christopher said, "Ashley, put it away." She looked at him. "We agreed we needed a plan, not this. We agreed your father's finances might need protection. I said we should talk to him. We are talking." I asked, "Who would control my decisions under your plan?" "No one is trying to control you." I pointed to the packet. "Then why bring a court petition?" She took out another page. "This is a temporary family agreement. It would let Christopher review major transactions until the assessment is complete." Christopher picked it up. "I've never seen this. You don't have to sign tonight. Neither does he." Ashley looked at me. "We're offering the least intrusive option." I read the page. It included bank withdrawals, property transfers, new debts, and guarantees. There was the word that mattered to her. Guarantees. "You want me to agree that Christopher reviews my decision on the supplier renewal. We want you to pause major changes." "Until when?" "Until the doctor gives us guidance." Christopher set the page down. "I'm not signing this either." "You don't sign it," Ashley said. "Donald does. I'm not participating." She stared at him. For one moment, I felt relief. Then he said, "We should wait until tomorrow, not stop." "Wait." Ashley opened a company statement. "We don't have time to wait much longer. We moved the payment that was meant for the supplier balance." I looked at Christopher. "You did what?" "The Bender repair and payroll came first," he said. "How much is left for the supplier?" He gave me the figure. "It wasn't enough to make a meaningful reduction," Ashley said. "This is what your sudden refusal is doing. My refusal didn't damage the Bender." "No, but your attitude made everything harder. The service report cleared me." Her eyes moved to Christopher. He looked away. I said, "You're using my concern about a real debt as proof I can't manage money. We're asking a doctor to decide whether the concern is part of a larger change." "No, you're asking a doctor to give weight to a story you already told." Christopher said, "Dad, just take the assessment. I will. And if you're fine, this goes away." I looked at the petition, the agreement, and the supplier statement. Until then, I had wanted to preserve two things: my protection from the debt and whatever relationship I still had with my son. That was no longer enough. Ashley had described my refusal to relatives, a consultant, and a medical clinic as evidence of decline. She had prepared a court packet before any doctor evaluated me. Whether she ever filed it wasn't the point. I needed to establish what she had done, when she had done it, and what she had told each person. I slid the family agreement back across the table. "I won't sign." Ashley gathered the papers. "Then tomorrow matters even more." "Yes," I said, "it does." Ashley zipped the folder shut. Christopher carried the tool cases toward the garage. I followed him and checked both before he left. The replacement cable hadn't arrived, but he showed me the order confirmation. "I'll make sure you get it," he said. "Thank you." He looked back toward the dining room. "I didn't know about the petition. I believe you. I wouldn't let her file that without talking to you. That's not the reassurance you think it is." His face tightened. "What do you want me to say?" "Nothing tonight." He nodded, then walked to the truck. Ashley came through the garage carrying her folder. "You're making him choose between us," she said. "I asked for my tools. You know that isn't what I mean. I'm done guessing what you mean." She followed Christopher outside. After they drove away, I locked the garage and cleared the dining table. I didn't try to call Christopher again. I didn't send Ashley a message explaining my position. I had spent enough time hoping the right sentence would make them treat my decisions as valid. Instead, I took out a legal pad. At the top, I wrote 3 simple headings: what happened, what Ashley called it, who was present. I started with the dentist appointment, then the water heater estimate, the conduit bender, the materials order, the compressor, the supplier statements, and the home consultation. I didn't write how anything felt. I wrote dates, locations, and exact words where I remembered them. The list showed something I hadn't noticed while each argument was happening. Most of Ashley's examples followed the same method. An ordinary event happened. She removed one detail. Then she changed what the event meant. I hadn't missed the water heater estimate because I forgot the day. Christopher hadn't told me the appointment moved. I hadn't failed to repair the bender. I had refused to repair a hydraulic system outside the work I could safely perform. I hadn't become confused about company purchasing. My statements had stopped after Ashley changed the delivery settings. I made copies of Christopher's message about the bender, Marla's intake notes, and the supplier contact history. I put the originals back in their folders. At 8 the next morning, I called Marla. "I'm sorry to bother you again. You're not bothering me. I need to verify one detail from your intake." "Which one?" "The referral says I had agreed to a home visit. That's what I was told." "Was that entered by Ashley or by your office?" "By the person who took the referral call." "Do you keep the time of that call?" "Yes." "Could you send me the date and time?" She checked. The referral was opened Tuesday at 10:14 in the morning. That was less than 24 hours after the warehouse conversation. "Did Ashley say she had spoken with me?" "She said the family had discussed it." "Did she say I personally consented?" Marla paused. "The intake note says, family reports homeowner is agreeable but may forget discussion." I closed my eyes. "Could you repeat that?" She did. "Please send that line with the timestamp. I can add it to the copy you already received. Thank you." "Mr. Wheeler, may I say something?" "Yes." "Referrals sometimes come from people who are frightened and moving too fast. I can't tell you why your daughter-in-law called. I understand. But our office should have confirmed consent directly with you before scheduling the visit. That would have helped. I've marked the referral closed. No one from our service will contact you again unless you request it. That was a practical result. The false agreement was corrected, the visit was closed, and the date was fixed. It also showed that Ashley had anticipated my objection. She had explained it before I ever made it. The updated intake arrived while I was still at the table. I printed one copy and added it to the folder I planned to take to Dr. Wood. Then I called the clinic. The receptionist recognized my name. "Your appointment is at 10:30. "I know. I want to ask how the family interview works. Dr. Wood usually speaks with a patient first. She may bring family members in afterward. Can I request that she speak with me alone before anyone presents outside information?" "Yes." "And can I provide a short factual timeline?" "You can bring it." "Has Ashley sent any records?" "I don't see outside medical records. What about personal notes?" "There's a message saying she'll bring a symptom log. On paper, it doesn't specify." I looked at the printed pages on my table. "I want it noted that I haven't reviewed or agreed with that log. I can add that." "Please do," the receptionist typed. "Anything else?" "Who controls permission for family members to remain in the room?" "You do, unless Dr. Wood needs a separate collateral interview. Then Ashley and Christopher can wait outside until Dr. Wood asks for them. I'll note that too." I thanked her and ended the call. A message from Ashley arrived almost immediately. "The clinic says you changed the interview arrangements. Why are you preventing us from participating?" I didn't know whether the clinic had called her or she had checked the patient portal before her access changed. Either way, my request was no longer private. I replied with one sentence. "You may participate when Dr. Wood requests it." 3 dots appeared, vanished, and appeared again. Then she called. I let it ring. She called a second time. I turned the phone face down and went to the garage. There were still several company items on my shelves: a corded mixing drill, 2 battery chargers, a laser level with a cracked mount, and a box of specialty bits sat near my workbench. None belonged to me. I laid everything on the floor and photographed it. Then I made a list with the condition of each item. The laser level presented a problem. Christopher had dropped it off months earlier. I had fixed the mount but never received the replacement part he was supposed to order. I called him. "Are you at the warehouse? I'm leaving for the clinic in about an hour. I have company equipment here. I'm bringing it over. Today?" "Yes, we can get it later." "I'm clearing the garage." "Dad, is this because Ashley called?" "It's because these items belong to the company." He became quiet. "What all do you have?" I read the list. "The mixing drill belongs to us?" "It has your inventory label. I forgot about that thing." "I didn't. That isn't what I meant." "I know." I loaded everything into my pickup and drove to the warehouse. The bay door was open this time. Christopher met me near the loading area. Ashley stood inside the office, watching through the glass. I placed each item on a folding cart and read the condition from my list. Christopher checked them. The laser's still broken, the temporary repair holds. You never ordered the mount. He looked at the label. I'll order it. I handed him the list. Sign that you received everything. He read it. You want a receipt? Yes. For our own equipment? For equipment that was in my garage. Ashley came out of the office. This is unnecessary. I looked at Christopher. Do you object to signing? No. He signed and dated the page. I took a photograph, then gave him a copy. Ashley stood with one hand on her hip. You're stripping everything out before the assessment. I returned your property. You're behaving like you expect a fight. I expect clear records. She looked at the empty bed of my pickup. What else are you hiding? Christopher said. Ashley, stop. No. He's been calling people and collecting documents. Now he's returning every tool like we're strangers. I said, the tools gave you a reason to enter my garage and question what belonged to whom. That reason is gone. Her eyes narrowed. That's what this is about. Control? Yes. Control of my house, my labor, and my signature. She took out her phone. You need to hear yourself. I hear myself clearly. She began typing. Christopher glanced at the screen. Who are you messaging? The clinic. About what? His behavior right now. I asked, what behavior? She read as she typed. Sudden removal of familiar equipment, suspicion toward family, fixation on written records, increasing hostility. I returned your equipment with an inventory. She kept typing. I pointed toward Christopher's signed receipt. That's the event. What you're writing is the interpretation. Her thumbs stopped. For once I had named the method while she was using it. Christopher looked from her phone to the receipt in his hand. He did return everything, he said. Ashley locked the screen. You're both missing the larger issue. No, I said. I finally see it. I drove home with an empty truck bed. The shelves in my garage looked strange without their equipment. I had spent years keeping space available for whatever Christopher dropped off next. Now the space was mine again, but there was no satisfaction in looking at it. My phone rang as I changed shirts for the appointment. It was Christopher. Ashley says, you're bringing a file. I am. What's in it? Records that correct her examples. Are you planning to attack her in front of the doctor? I'm planning to answer questions. Could you leave the supplier issue out of it? No. That's business. It's the reason she began arranging evaluations. You don't know that. The home referral was made the day after I refused. That could be when she got worried. Then Dr. Wood can decide what the timing means. He let out a long breath. I don't want this turning into a contest. Then tell the truth when you're asked. I will. Even if Ashley disagrees. He didn't answer immediately. Yes, he said. I put on a clean blue shirt and placed the folder beneath my arm. When I reached Dr. Wood's clinic, Ashley and Christopher were already in the waiting room. Ashley had her phone in one hand and the printed symptom pages in the other. She looked at my folder, and I looked at hers. Neither of us said hello. Ashley moved her papers onto the empty chair beside her. Christopher stood. Dad, can we talk outside? The appointment's about to start. 2 minutes. I followed him through the glass doors. The morning sun reflected off the parked cars. He stopped near my pickup, far enough from the entrance that Ashley couldn't hear us. She's going to give Dr. Wood the petition, he said. She brought it. It's in her folder. Why? She says the doctor needs to understand how serious this is. Do you agree? I told her not to. That isn't what I asked. He rubbed his hands together. I think the petition is too much right now. Right now. Dad, please. Do you think it becomes reasonable later? If the doctor finds a real problem, we'd have to discuss options. That packet was prepared before the doctor met me. I know. You still came with her. She's my wife, and I'm your father. I know that. He looked through the clinic doors. Ashley was watching us. I said, what did you tell her about my memory? The things we discussed. Which things? The dentist appointment? The water heater job? Repeating questions? Did you correct the water heater story? I told her I forgot to notify you. Did she remove it from her log? I don't know. Did you ask? His silence answered me. I said, when, doctor? Wood asks. Tell her you moved the appointment and didn't tell me. I will. And the compressor. What about it? You never left it before I asked when you'd bring it. I know. That appears in her notes as something I forgot. I'll explain it, without checking Ashley's face first. His jaw tightened. You're acting like I'm part of some plan. I'm asking you to tell the truth. I said I would. The clinic door opened behind us. Ashley called. They're ready for him. Christopher lowered his voice. One more thing. What? We met with our accountant yesterday. That caught me off guard. About the supplier balance? About everything. The bender repair, payroll, upcoming deposits. What did the accountant say? We can't clear $32,000 in 30 days without selling something or stopping larger jobs. What would you sell? The work trailer. The company used that trailer on almost every remodeling job. It carried saws, folding tables, ladders, and secured storage. Selling it wouldn't close the business, but it would shrink what they could handle. Christopher looked down at the pavement. If the account goes cash only, we lose the larger projects. You'll have to take prepaid work. That's not how most good projects operate. It may be how yours has to operate. We'll lose crews. You might. People depend on us. I understand. Do you? Yes. He looked up. Then reconsider. I've already decided. You decided before you knew the consequences. I knew there would be consequences. Not like this. What did you think personal guarantee meant? He stepped closer. It means the supplier trusts us because they trust you. It means they can come to me if you don't pay. We have always paid. Using new credit and emergency money. Every business manages cash flow. Then manage it without my house standing behind it. His face changed. We never asked for your house. You asked for my guarantee. That reaches what I own. We wouldn't let that happen. You can't promise that, while telling me you can't pay the balance. He looked away. The clinic door opened again. This time, the receptionist said my name. Christopher said, If the doctor says you're fine, will you at least talk about renewing? No. His eyes hardened. Then what are we doing here? That's the question I've been asking. I walked back inside. The receptionist handed me a clipboard. We need one signature confirming your privacy choices. I read the page. Ashley and Christopher could be interviewed, but neither could receive my test results without separate permission. I signed it. Ashley stood. I'm his daughter-in-law and the person who scheduled this. The receptionist said, Mr. Wheeler is the patient. I understand. I'm asking whether Dr. Wood received my concerns. You can provide them during the family interview. Ashley held up her folder. These are dated observations. The receptionist didn't reach for them. Please keep those until the doctor asks. A medical assistant took me down the hall. She checked my blood pressure, temperature, hearing, and medications. She asked whether I felt safe at home. Yes. Does anyone control your money without permission? No. Has anyone pressured you to sign documents? I looked at her. My daughter-in-law brought a temporary financial agreement to my house last night. She typed that into the computer. Did you sign it? No. What was it for? To let my son review financial decisions. Did you want him to? No. She nodded and finished the intake. Dr. Wood entered a few minutes later. She wore dark trousers and a gray sweater under her white coat. She pulled her chair close enough to speak normally. Mr. Wheeler, what would you like me to call you? Donald? All right. Donald, why are you here? My daughter-in-law believes I'm having memory problems. What do you believe? I think she began treating disagreements as symptoms after I refused a financial commitment. What commitment? A personal guarantee for my son's business. Are you currently responsible for it? Until the annual term expires, why did you decide not to renew? I explained the materials order, the missing statements, and the balance. I kept it short. Dr. Wood asked, Was the decision sudden? The refusal was new. The concern wasn't. Have you made other unusual financial decisions? Not that I know of. Have you lost money, paid the same bill twice, or forgotten regular expenses? No. Any trouble driving? No. Cooking? No. Managing medication? No. Finding words? Sometimes, but not more than before. She asked about sleep. I told her it had been uneven since Elaine died. Do you drink alcohol? A glass of bourbon occasionally. How often? Not every week. She made a note. Have you ever had a stroke, head injury, or seizure? No. Any family history of dementia? My mother had some decline near the end of her life. She was much older than I am now. Dr. Wood put down her pen. I'm going to ask questions that may feel simple or strange. Everyone finds some of them annoying. Don't read meaning into individual items. That may be difficult today. I understand. She asked the date, the city, the name of the clinic, and why I was there. Then she gave me 5 words to remember. I repeated them. She asked me to count backward by 7s. I made one mistake, caught it, and corrected myself. She asked me to draw a clock showing a particular time. My minute hand was too short, so I erased it and drew another. Then she asked for the 5 words. I remembered 4 immediately. The 5th took several seconds. I could hear the wall clock while I searched for it. I knew Ashley was sitting down the hall with a folder full of reasons that pause might matter. Finally, the word came. Velvet, I said. Dr. Wood wrote something. I resisted the urge to ask whether I had passed. She gave me a page with short problems, matching symbols, identifying shapes, following written directions, and naming objects. I worked through them. At the end, she folded her hands. Before I speak with your family, is there anything you want me to know? I gave her my timeline. She read the first page. This is very organized. I'm an electrician. We write down what connects to what. She smiled slightly. Did you prepare this yourself? Yes. Are these supporting records? Copies. She looked through the consultant intake, Christopher's message about the bender, and the supplier delivery change. You're asking me to consider whether the reported incidents have other explanations. Yes, I can do that. I also need to consider information that disagrees with you. I understand. Your daughter-in-law says she has a dated log. That's what she says. Have you seen it? Some printed pages. She wouldn't leave copies. Your son has concerns too? He says he does. Do you believe he's lying? I looked at the closed door. I believe he avoids disagreeing with his wife. I don't know what he told her privately. That was the truth as I knew it. Dr. Wood asked, why attend today if you believe the referral is connected to money? Because refusing would become another example. That's one reason. Is there another? I wanted an independent person to hear exactly what they're claiming. She closed my folder. I can't decide a family or business dispute. I'm not asking you to. I can assess your current cognitive function. I can compare the reported history with the available facts. I can say when information appears inconsistent. I cannot tell your son whom to trust. I know. She stood. I'm going to speak with them separately. You can wait here or in the lobby. Here. After she left, I sat alone for nearly 40 minutes. I couldn't hear their words. Once, Ashley's voice rose in the hall, then dropped again. My phone showed 3 missed calls from an adult relative. A message beneath them said Ashley had told the family I was being evaluated for incapacity and might need help managing my affairs. I put the phone away. By the time Dr. Wood returned, my blood pressure was probably higher than when I arrived. She sat down. Can you do that today? I can assess cognition. A broad legal capacity determination is a different question and depends on the specific decision. She brought a petition. I saw it. Did Christopher support it? He said he wanted to wait for my assessment. That sounded exactly like him. Dr. Wood continued. Your daughter-in-law also reports that your refusal to renew the guarantee threatens the business and is inconsistent with years of support. It is inconsistent with years of support. Why? Because I'm stopping. Does the possible effect on the company change your decision? I thought about the work trailer. I thought about prepaid jobs, lost projects, and the empty shelves in my garage. Then I thought about the court packet with my address already written on it. No. She watched me. Even if your son's company becomes smaller? Yes. Even if your relationship with him suffers? It already has. Why accept that cost? She didn't write immediately. I said, I'm not asking the company to fail. I'm refusing to carry its risk. Dr. Wood nodded. That distinction is important. She opened the door. I'm going to bring them in now. Ashley wants to review her symptom log with all of us present. I picked up my folder. Let her. Dr. Wood looked at me. You're sure? Yes. If Ashley wanted her claims treated as evidence, I wanted her to state them where every person could hear the same version. Christopher entered first. Ashley followed with her folder held against her chest. Dr. Wood placed 2 chairs near the desk. Before we begin, she said, Donald has given permission for both of you to participate. He can withdraw that permission at any time. Ashley sat down. We understand. Christopher nodded. Dr. Wood continued. I've completed an initial interview and cognitive screening. Now I'd like to hear your concerns. Please distinguish between something you personally observed and something another person told you. Ashley opened the folder. I have everything by date. She placed the printed symptom log on the desk. Dr. Wood didn't touch it yet. Did you write these entries on the dates shown? Yes. Where did you keep the original log? On my phone. I printed it for today. Were all these events personally observed by you? Most of them. Let's take them one at a time. Ashley began with the dentist appointment. Dr. Wood asked, "Were you present when Donald missed it?" "No, the office called him," I said. "The reminder went to my old home number. I changed it afterward." Ashley looked at me. "You never told me that. You never asked." Dr. Wood raised one hand. "Let's stay with the facts. Donald missed one appointment. Do either of you know of another medical appointment he missed?" Christopher said, "No." Ashley turned a page. There was also the water heater estimate. Dr. Wood looked at Christopher. "Did you observe that?" He shifted in his chair. "I scheduled the estimate. What happened?" "The customer moved it from Thursday to Friday." "I forgot to tell Dad," Ashley said, "but he insisted it was Thursday." "Because I told him Thursday," Christopher said. Dr. Wood made a note. Ashley's lips tightened. She moved to the compressor. Donald forgot Chris had already delivered it. Christopher looked at the floor. Dr. Wood asked, "Is that accurate?" "No," he said. Ashley stared at him. He continued, "I brought it Monday evening. Dad asked when I needed it. He didn't ask when I was bringing it." "That isn't what you told me," Ashley said. "I might have explained it badly. You said he got mixed up. I said we argued. You specifically said he forgot it was on the patio." Christopher shook his head. "I don't remember saying that." Ashley gave Dr. Wood the patient smile. "This is what I deal with. Everybody forgets the details, so I write them down." Dr. Wood asked, "Did you hear the conversation between Donald and Christopher?" "No." "So, this entry came from Christopher?" "Originally, yes." Dr. Wood drew a small mark beside it. They continued through the list. Some entries described real things. I had asked Christopher twice whether the Rio Rancho contract was signed. I had misplaced a pair of reading glasses for an afternoon. I had called Ashley by Elaine's name once when both of them were standing behind me in the kitchen. I remembered that one. I had apologized immediately. Ashley described it as failure to recognize a family member. I said, "I knew who she was. I used the wrong name." "It wasn't just any name," she said. "No. It was my wife's name?" Dr. Wood asked. "Had that happened before?" "No." "Since?" "No." Christopher said, "I've called Ashley by Mom's name before." Ashley looked at him. "When? I don't know." "During an argument. That's completely different." Dr. Wood said, "It may be different emotionally. Cognitively, a single name substitution isn't enough to establish loss of recognition." Ashley turned another page. "What about the tools?" I placed the signed inventory receipt on the desk. "I returned all company equipment yesterday." Christopher verified each item. "That's not the concern," Ashley said. "You wrote that I was confused about ownership, because you suddenly demanded old tools back. My personal tools were returned. Company tools were inventoried and delivered." Dr. Wood read the receipt. "Christopher, did you sign this?" "Yes." "Were there any ownership disputes after the inventory?" "No," Ashley said. "He created the dispute in the first place." Dr. Wood set the receipt down. "Wanting clear ownership isn't itself a sign of cognitive impairment." Ashley stopped turning pages. "So, none of this concerns you?" "I didn't say that. You keep explaining everything away. I'm examining each report." He prepared answers. I said, "I prepared facts. You called everybody before coming here. I called 2 people whose statements you changed." Dr. Wood looked at Ashley. "What outcome are you seeking today?" "A truthful assessment. And if Donald's cognitive results don't support impairment, I'll be relieved." Christopher looked at her. She didn't look back. "Doctor," Wood asked, "would you then accept his decision not to renew the business guarantee?" Ashley's fingers tightened around the page. "That's separate. You've included the decision in your symptom log because it's out of character. Out of character doesn't necessarily mean impaired. It could. It could also mean he changed his mind." Ashley sat back. "I feel like I'm the one on trial." "No one is on trial," Dr. Wood said. "I'm trying to determine whether the reported concerns describe cognitive change." Christopher rubbed his palms on his jeans. "Can we take a break?" Dr. Wood checked the clock. "Yes." 10 minutes. Ashley immediately gathered the printed pages. Dr. Wood said, "Leave the log, please. It contains personal family information. You offered it for medical review." Ashley hesitated, then left it on the desk. We stepped into the hall. Christopher walked toward the water fountain. Ashley followed him and began speaking in a low voice. I went the other direction and found an empty corner near the windows. I called Valerie. She answered quickly. "Donald, is everything all right? I need to confirm one more thing." "All right. If someone claims I'm not competent, can they renew the guarantee for me?" "No, not even with a court document. A personal guarantee creates a new obligation for the person signing. We require direct, voluntary consent from you. What if a decision maker is appointed? We wouldn't accept a new personal guarantee imposed on you by somebody else. So, if I don't sign, nothing Ashley or Christopher brings can renew it?" "That's correct." "And the old signature can't be reused?" "No." The uncertainty I had carried into the clinic was gone. Ashley could question my memory, prepare a petition, or tell every relative in New Mexico. None of it could create my consent. Valerie asked, "Has someone tried to sign for you?" "Not yet." "Then why are you asking?" "I'm at a medical assessment Ashley arranged." Valerie was quiet. "Does this concern the account?" "She says it concerns my memory. The financial agreement she brought last night included guarantees." "I see. I don't want you involved in the family part. I administer the credit decision. That's all. That's why I called," she said. "The contractor breakfast is next week. Ashley confirmed all three of you will attend the account review." "All three?" "She said you would complete the renewal in person." "I never told her that." "I know. You haven't told her I declined?" "No. The current terms remain active, and you asked me to hold the decision until review." "Please continue." "I will." I looked through the hallway window. Ashley and Christopher were still near the water fountain. "Will the renewal form be there?" I asked. "Yes." "Keep it with you. I always do. And when the account review starts, let Ashley explain what she expects." Valerie paused. "Donald, I won't embarrass a customer for entertainment. I'm not asking you to." "What are you asking?" "Apply the account terms after she states her plan. Nothing about this clinic, nothing about the family. I can do that. If she asks me to sign, I'll answer once. And then I confirm the status." "Yes, all right." Before ending the call, Valerie said, "You understand they may not recover from the change quickly." "I do. The work trailer may be the easiest asset to sell," Christopher told me. "And you still want the decision recorded?" "It already is." "That wasn't my question." "Yes," I said. "I want it to stand." We ended the call. I could have told Valerie about the petition in detail. I could have brought copies to the breakfast and shown contractors what Ashley had done. A room full of people who knew the company would have listened. I didn't want that. The guarantee was enough. It was the one thing they needed from me, and the one thing only I could give. I wasn't going to turn a medical appointment into public ammunition. Christopher approached while I put away my phone. "Who are you talking to?" "Valerie." His face went still. "You called her from here?" "Yes." "What did you say?" "I confirmed the renewal rules, after I asked you to leave the supplier out of this." "You asked. I refused." He looked toward Ashley. "Did you decline already?" I held his gaze. "You'll hear my decision at the account review." "That sounds like yes." "It sounds like you'll hear it at the review." His voice dropped. "Do you want us to lose the company?" "No." "Then why won't you help?" "I helped for 8 years." "So now you punish us?" "I'm ending my obligation. You know what that will do." "Yes." He stepped back as if I had pushed him. "If you go through with it, things between us won't be the same. They aren't the same now. That's your choice too." "I know." He walked away. That was the price, stated plainly. I could keep financing a relationship that had become conditional, or I could accept what remained when the money stopped. Dr. Wood opened the examination room door. "We're ready to continue." Ashley returned to her chair. Christopher sat beside her, but didn't look at me. Dr. Wood picked up the printed log. "You said these entries were made on your phone as events occurred." "Yes," Ashley said. She removed her phone from her purse and placed it beside the pages, screen face down. Dr. Wood looked at the phone. "Show me how you recorded the entries." Ashley picked it up. I kept notes and texted Christopher when something happened. Which came first? The texts, usually. Then I added the details to my log. Were the dates on this printout taken from those messages? Yes. Doctor. Wood slid the printed pages toward her. Please show me the original messages for the compressor entry. Ashley glanced at Christopher. He stared at the floor. She unlocked the phone and opened her message thread with him. Then she used the search bar and typed compressor. Several results appeared. Ashley tapped one. The phone remained in her hand, angled away from me. Dr. Wood leaned closer. May I hold it? Ashley hesitated. You asked to see the dated source, she said. I did. I need to read the surrounding conversation. It contains private messages. You're presenting those messages as support for a medical claim. You can withdraw them if you prefer. Ashley looked at Christopher again. He said nothing. Then she handed Dr. Wood the phone. Dr. Wood scrolled a few lines upward. Her expression didn't change, but she stopped moving her thumb. Christopher, did you tell Ashley that Donald forgot the compressor had already been delivered? Christopher swallowed. I may have. You told me earlier that didn't happen. It didn't happen exactly that way. Ashley reached for the phone. Dr. Wood kept it beside the printed log. Please let me finish reading the entry you offered. Ashley pulled her hand back. Dr. Wood turned the phone slightly so all of us could see. The message at the top was from Christopher. Use the compressor thing. Say he asked when I was bringing it, even though it was already there. That sounds clearer. Below it, Ashley had replied. Good. I'll put it under repeated confusion. My son's name was above the message. There was no uncertainty about who had written it. I looked at him. He pressed both hands between his knees. Dr. Wood scrolled. Another message from Christopher appeared. The water heater estimate works too. Leave out that I changed the day. The point is he showed up wrong. Ashley's answer was shorter. I already wrote it that way. Nobody spoke. Dr. Wood moved farther down the thread. There were messages about the materials order, my request for statements, and the day I took back the house key. Christopher had supplied details. Ashley had changed the descriptions. In one exchange, he wrote that I had become upset about the account because I didn't understand normal purchasing. Ashley replied that disagreement alone wouldn't be enough. Christopher asked what she needed. Ashley wrote, a pattern. Once the doctor agrees, he'll be easier to pressure. A later message from Christopher asked, before the supplier breakfast? Ashley answered, yes, I need the renewal handled. I read those 2 lines twice. The room became very quiet. Ashley stood. This is completely out of context. Dr. Wood placed the phone on the desk. What context changes the instruction to omit that Christopher moved the appointment? We were trying to organize examples. You altered an example. No. We simplified it. Christopher covered his mouth with one hand. Dr. Wood looked at him. Did Donald forget the water heater date? No. Did he forget the compressor was delivered? No. Did you knowingly tell Ashley to write those incidents differently? He looked at me. Yes. That one word removed the last excuse I had been saving for him. Ashley said, he was under pressure. We both were. Dr. Wood asked, pressure from what? The company. Donald's behavior. The guarantee. Everything changed at once. After he refused the renewal? Yes, because it was irrational. That isn't a medical conclusion you're qualified to make. I know him. You presented coordinated reports as independent observations. They weren't coordinated. Dr. Wood tapped the phone screen. These messages say otherwise. Ashley reached for it again. This time, Dr. Wood handed it back. I'm not taking custody of your phone. I've seen enough to evaluate the reliability of the history you provided. Ashley sat down slowly. Christopher still hadn't looked at me. Dr. Wood turned toward me. Donald, your screening today does not show evidence of significant cognitive impairment. Nothing I observed supports a diagnosis that would explain an inability to understand this guarantee decision. Ashley said, a short test can't prove he's fine. That's correct. No short screening proves everything, so further testing is needed, not based on coordinated examples presented today. What about the petition? I will not support an incapacity claim using this information. Ashley's face lost its practiced concern. You're taking his side. I'm assessing the evidence. Dr. Wood looked at me. The reported history was not independently observed as represented. Several incidents were altered to remove reasonable explanations. That makes the symptom log unreliable. I asked, will that be in my record? Yes. Will the petition be in it? I'll note that an unfiled packet was presented. I'll also note that you understood its purpose and declined the related financial agreement. Ashley stood again. We're leaving, Dr. Wood said. Donald decides when his appointment ends. Ashley looked at me. I picked up my folder. I'm finished. Christopher followed us into the parking lot. Ashley walked straight to her SUV. He stopped beside my pickup. Dad. I unlocked the door but didn't open it. How long? I asked. He looked confused. How long were you helping her write those entries? A couple of weeks, before or after I refused the guarantee. After. Why? She said you'd never cut us off unless something was wrong. And you believed that? At first. What did you believe when you told her to leave out the changed appointment? His eyes filled, but he didn't wipe them. I thought if the doctor made you slow down, we'd have time to talk. You didn't want a truthful assessment. You wanted pressure. I didn't think it would go this far. You sat beside a court petition last night. I didn't know she had it. You knew about the altered log. Yes. Ashley called from the SUV. Chris, let's go. He ignored her. I'm sorry, I opened my truck door. Are you still refusing the renewal? He asked. I looked at him. He had admitted what he did, then asked for the signature in the same parking lot. Yes, even now, especially now. If you don't sign, we have to sell the trailer, then sell it. His mouth tightened. You really want that? I want my name off your debt. Ashley sounded the horn. Christopher stepped away. I drove home. That evening I took one clean glass from the kitchen cabinet. I poured a small bourbon and sat at the dining table. I didn't raise it. I didn't make a speech to an empty room. I drank it slowly while the sunlight moved across Elaine's chair. The next week, I attended the contractor breakfast. The supplier held it in a warehouse showroom behind the credit office. Folding tables ran between displays of tools, fixtures, and safety equipment. Contractors I had known for years stood around eating eggs and green chile from paper plates. Mesa Home Renewals had a table near the front. Ashley had brought project photographs and printed plans for the Rio Rancho edition, though the client still hadn't signed. Christopher stood beside her. He looked as if he hadn't slept. Valerie found me near the coffee. You came. I said I would. The review is in 10 minutes. I'm ready. She carried a brown folder under one arm. The renewal form was inside it. Ashley watched us speak. Then she came over. I'd like this handled professionally, she said. So would I, Valerie replied. Ashley looked at me. Whatever happened at the clinic doesn't belong here. I agree. She seemed surprised. Valerie said, This meeting concerns the account only. Good, Ashley said. Then we should be able to resolve it. Christopher looked at me. I gave him nothing. When the account review began, 6 other contractors were still nearby. Valerie offered to move into her office. Ashley said, There's no need. This will only take a minute. That was her public commitment. She placed a pen on the table and smiled toward the people standing nearby. We've had some family confusion, but Donald is here to complete the annual guarantee. Once that's done, we'll proceed with our expansion orders. Valerie opened the brown folder. She removed the renewal form, but kept it on her side of the table. Ashley, before you continue, I need to correct the account status. Ashley's smile remained in place. What status? Donald has already declined the annual renewal. Christopher closed his eyes. Ashley turned toward me. You told her? Yes. When? That's between Valerie and me. She reached for the form. Valerie placed one hand over it. This document requires Donald's fresh signature. He has declined to provide it. Ashley looked around. Several conversations nearby had stopped. We can discuss this privately. I offered my office, Valerie said. You chose to continue here. Ashley lowered her voice. He's making this decision because of a family conflict. Valerie said, The reason doesn't change the account terms. When does the guarantee expire? Today. Ashley's face went pale. Valerie continued in the same calm voice. Effective tomorrow, the Mesa Home Renewals account converts to cash only. The outstanding balance is $32,000. Under the existing agreement, that balance is due within 30 days. Ashley looked at me. Sign it. No. Donald, don't do this here. You brought the pen. She pushed it toward me. Whatever point you wanted to make, you made it. This isn't a point. We cannot operate cash only. Then change how you operate. Christopher said, Dad, please. I looked at him. No. Ashley's voice sharpened. You're going to destroy your son's business because you're angry with me. Valerie said, "The company has 30 days to clear the balance. Future purchases can be made with cash. No one is closing the business." Ashley ignored her. "You can pay the balance yourself. I won't. You have the money. That doesn't make the debt mine to pay. It is your debt. You guaranteed it. Until today. You still owe the supplier." She looked at Christopher. "Say something." He stood with both hands on the table. "He's not signing. You don't know that?" "He just said it. We can fix this." Christopher looked at me. I saw the question in his face, not whether I would sign. Whether there was still some private rescue coming after the public refusal. There wasn't. Valerie returned the renewal form to the brown folder. The account status is final for this term. Then she handed Ashley a printed notice showing the cash-only conversion and the 30-day deadline. Ashley took it with both hands. The supplier hadn't punished them. Dr. Wood hadn't punished them. I hadn't taken their company. I had simply stopped placing my signature beneath it. Christopher folded the notice once and put it in his pocket. Ashley gathered the project photographs from the table. One slipped to the floor. It showed Christopher standing inside a newly finished kitchen, smiling beside white cabinets. I picked it up and handed it to him. "Thanks," he said. Ashley shoved the pens into her purse. "This is unbelievable." Valerie remained beside the table. "If you have questions about cash payments or the balance deadline, call my office." "We know how to pay a bill," Ashley said. Valerie didn't respond. The contractors nearby returned to their conversations. Nobody applauded, nobody laughed. A few men avoided looking at us. One gave me a small nod as I carried my coffee toward the exit. That was enough. I hadn't gone there to ruin Ashley in front of strangers. I had gone because she planned to use a public assumption to get my signature. Valerie corrected that assumption, and the account changed under the terms already in place. Outside, Christopher caught up with me. "Dad, wait." I stopped beside my pickup. "Ashley's upset," I noticed. "She didn't know you had formally declined. That was intentional. You let her stand up there and say you'd sign. She chose to say it. You could have warned us. I warned both of you for weeks, not about the deadline starting today. You knew when the guarantee expired." He looked toward the building. "We need time. You have 30 days. That isn't much. It's the time in the agreement." He put his hands into his pockets. "Are you going to answer if I call? If you're calling as my son." "What does that mean?" "It means don't call asking for money, labor, a signature, or help with the supplier." His face tightened. "So, I have to pretend the company isn't in trouble?" "No. You can tell me you're worried. I'm not going to solve it." He nodded slowly. "I don't know how to talk to you right now." "Then don't force it." I got into my truck. Ashley was standing by the showroom doors, watching us. Christopher returned to her. I drove home without waiting to see what they said. Her email arrived before I reached Mesquite Lane. She wrote that I had acted deceptively, damaged the company's reputation, and put several livelihoods at risk. She said the clinic messages had been private marital communications, and that Dr. Wood had misunderstood their purpose. At the end, she gave me until 5 that afternoon to reconsider. I didn't reply. At 5:12, another email arrived. This one contained a copy of the supplier notice and one sentence. "If you won't renew, you should at least clear the existing balance." I printed it and placed it in the Mesa Home Renewals folder. Then I made dinner. Thursday passed without the usual meal. No one called to cancel. I hadn't cooked for them, but at 6 I still caught myself looking through the kitchen window when a vehicle slowed outside. It kept going. The next Monday, Christopher called. "I'm not asking you for anything." "All right." We listed the trailer. I sat at the kitchen table. "Did you cancel the Rio Rancho fixtures?" "Yes. There's a restocking charge. And the addition, the clients hired someone else." "I'm sorry. You told us to cancel. I told you to consider it before the order shipped." "I know." He sounded exhausted. "We're finishing the jobs already under contract," he said. "After that, we're taking smaller bathrooms and flooring work with deposits covering materials." "That sounds sensible." "It's not what we planned." "No." "Ashley says we're going backward." "What do you say?" "I say we're trying to stay open." "That sounds sensible too." He was quiet. Then he said, "I need to tell you something without making it about her." I waited. "I changed those incidents because I wanted you to sign. I knew the water heater story was wrong. I knew the compressor story was wrong. I told myself it was just a way to get you into the room. You got me into the room. I know. You also helped put my name on a medical concern that relatives heard about. I know, and you let me question my own memory. His voice broke slightly. I know, I didn't rescue him from the silence. Finally, he said, I'm sorry. I believe you're sorry. Can we get past this? Not because you apologized once. What do I need to do? I'm not giving you a repair list. Then how do I fix it? Start by correcting what you said. With who? Anyone who heard I couldn't manage my affairs. He took a breath. All right. And don't tell them Ashley misunderstood. Tell them what you did. I will. I'm not guaranteeing the account again. I understand. I'm not repairing company equipment for free. I understand. No emergency payments. I heard you. That isn't temporary. I know. We ended the call. 2 days later, my wife's cousin called again. Christopher spoke to me, she said. What did he say? He said you weren't found impaired. He said he gave Ashley examples that weren't accurate. Did he blame her? No. He said it was his choice. That was the first action that cost him something without benefiting the company. She apologized for repeating what she'd heard. I told her she hadn't created it. Over the next week, I received 3 similar calls. Christopher had contacted relatives directly. He didn't ask them to call me. He didn't send a group message full of excuses. He told each person enough to correct the claim. Ashley didn't correct anything. She sent one more email saying Dr. Wood's assessment was incomplete and that my refusal still showed poor judgment. She attached articles about stress and late-life decision-making. I deleted the attachments without opening them. I kept the email. The trailer sold during the 2nd week. Christopher sent me a photograph after the buyer hauled it away. A pale rectangle remained on the warehouse pavement where the trailer had blocked the sun. There was no message with the photograph. I replied, I'm sorry it came to this. He wrote, me too. They used the sale money toward the supplier balance. 2 customer payments covered more. Ashley canceled the remaining expansion orders and returned unopened materials where the supplier allowed it. The company website changed. The page advertising additions and full home renovations disappeared. In its place, Mesa Home Renewals offered smaller kitchens, bathrooms, flooring, and repair work with materials paid in advance. Ashley removed my name from the section about the company's history. It had once said the business was supported by 3 generations of trade experience, though there had never been 3 generations working there. I expected seeing the change to hurt. It did, but not for the reason I expected. My name had been used to suggest I belonged to the business. In reality, I belonged whenever equipment failed or credit was needed. Removing the sentence made the page more honest. On the 28th day, Valerie called. The balance has been paid in full. I sat down at my desk. Did they make the deadline? Yes. And the account? Cash only. Any remaining obligation under my guarantee? No. The balance is cleared, and the annual term has expired. Thank you for telling me. I thought you'd want confirmation? I did. She paused. Christopher came in with the final payment. How did he seem? Tired. That sounds right. He asked whether the company could apply for ordinary credit later. What did you tell him? That it would depend on the company's own history, cash flow, and a new review. No personal guarantor was discussed. Good. Valerie's job was finished. She had applied the rule exactly as promised. She hadn't chosen my boundary or paid its cost. After the call, I removed the supplier folder from the desk drawer. I didn't throw it away. The papers still mattered. I placed them in the locked garage cabinet beside my toolbox. That evening, Christopher came to the house. He called first. When I opened the door, his hands were empty. No tools, I asked. No tools? No paperwork? No. He stood on the patio as if he needed permission to cross it. What do you need? I asked. Nothing. The answer sounded unfamiliar from him. I was wondering if you'd eaten. Not yet. Could I take you somewhere? Where? There's a place near San Mateo with decent meatloaf. Your mother hated restaurant meatloaf. I know. She said it was a hamburger pretending to be important. I smiled before I could stop myself. Christopher looked relieved, but he didn't step forward. I got my keys. We drove separately. At the restaurant, he didn't discuss the company until I asked whether they had work. We have 2 bathroom jobs, he said, both prepaid for materials. Good. It's smaller. I know. He nodded and changed the subject. We talked about the heat, the road construction, and a leak in my backyard irrigation line. He didn't offer to send a crew. He asked whether I wanted help looking at it Saturday. I can handle it, I said. I know you can. That answer was different. When the check came, he picked it up. This isn't repayment, he said. It's dinner. I let him pay. Outside, he stopped beside my truck. Same time next week? Call first. I will. He did. For the next 6 weeks, he called every Tuesday. Sometimes we ate at the meatloaf place. Sometimes he came to my house with takeout. Twice we sat on the patio with coffee and talked until the streetlights came on. He never arrived with broken equipment. That mattered more than the meals. The irrigation leak came up again on our third Saturday. Christopher arrived at 8 with work gloves and a shovel. He knocked, even though the gate was open. I brought my own tools, he said. I see that. Where's the leak? I showed him the wet patch near the rosemary. We dug carefully until we found a cracked plastic coupling. He drove to the hardware store, bought the replacement, and returned with the receipt in his pocket. You want the receipt? He asked. It's my house. I know. I'm paying for the part. Why? Because I said I'd help. I let him. We finished before noon. He washed the mud from both shovels and coiled the garden hose. I made sandwiches. He set 2 cloth napkins on the patio table without mentioning where he'd learned the habit. That afternoon, he asked whether I had received anything else from the clinic. Dr. Wood sent her final note. What did it say? No evidence of significant cognitive impairment. No further evaluation needed unless I notice an actual change. He looked down at his plate. Did she mention the messages? She said the family history was unreliable because incidents had been coordinated and altered. I deserve that. Yes. He nodded. Did Ashley read it? She doesn't have access to my medical record. I meant, did you show her? No. He folded his napkin once. She still thinks the doctor misunderstood. That's her problem. She isn't filing the petition. Was she still considering it? No. I told her I wouldn't support it. I looked at him. What did she say? She said I was choosing you over my marriage. And what did you say? I said refusing to help misuse a medical claim wasn't choosing sides. That answer cost him something at home. I could hear it in his voice. I didn't ask for details. Thank you for telling her. I should have said it sooner. Yes. He accepted that without defending himself. Ashley and I had almost no contact. She sent a short message after the supplier balance was paid. The petition will not be filed. I still disagree with how you handled the business account, but I won't pursue anything related to your capacity. There was no apology. I replied, Understood. That was our relationship for the time being, clear, limited, and without pretending. She remained operating manager of Mesa Home Renewals. Christopher remained her husband and business partner. Their marriage was theirs to handle. I didn't ask him to report on it, and I didn't use our dinners to make him criticize her. When he tried once, I stopped him. She pressured both of us, he said. You sent the messages. I know, but she started the log. You chose what you added. He looked uncomfortable. That's what Dr. Wood said. She was right. After that, he apologized without attaching Ashley's name. The company stayed open. Their old crew became smaller. They stopped advertising additions and took jobs they could fund with customer deposits. Christopher learned to schedule equipment maintenance instead of bringing failures to my garage. The first time the compressor needed service again, he called. I'm not asking you to repair it, all right? Do you still have the number for that shop near Edith? Yes. Could you send it? I gave him the number. The next week, he told me the company had paid the repair bill. He sounded proud of something that should have been ordinary. I understood. Ordinary responsibility was new for both of us. I also had adjustments to make. The empty garage shelves bothered me at first. I had organized whole weeks around company repairs. Without them, Tuesday looked much like Friday. I cleaned the workshop properly. I threw away dried adhesive, worn sanding discs, and cords too damaged to repair. I sorted my own tools and replaced the foam inside the electrician's toolbox. Then, I started doing things that didn't make me useful to anyone. I took morning walks along the arroyo. I met an old coworker for breakfast. I repaired the loose hinge on the kitchen cabinet because it annoyed me, not because somebody needed a favor by Monday. One Thursday, I cooked Elaine's vegetable soup. I used barley. Christopher arrived at 6 after calling first. He had no bags, tools, or forms. He saw the pot and smiled. You fixed the recipe. I admitted defeat. We ate at the dining table. He ran his thumb over the dent he had made years before. I miss her, he said. So do I. She would have liked the barley. She would have found something wrong with it. He laughed. We talked about her without asking what she would have decided for either of us. She wasn't evidence. She was somebody we both missed. A month later, Christopher asked if Ashley could join us for dinner. Does she want to? I asked. She said she would if you were comfortable. That wasn't my question. He looked at his phone, but didn't touch it. I think she wants things less tense. Does she want to acknowledge what she did? I don't know. Then dinner won't fix it. He nodded. I'll tell her. Tell her she can contact me directly. Ashley didn't. I didn't chase her. Another month passed before I saw her. Christopher invited me to their house for his birthday. I asked whether he wanted me there or wanted to prove we could all share a room. I want my dad at my birthday dinner, he said. I went. Ashley opened the door. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then she said, "Hello, Donald." "Hello, Ashley." She stepped aside. Dinner was polite. She didn't mention the company, the clinic, or the guarantee. I didn't mention the messages. When Christopher brought out a small cake, Ashley handed me the knife. "You always cut it evenly," she said. It wasn't an apology. I didn't treat it like one. I cut the cake. That was all the repair available between us then. We occupied the same room without pretending the past had disappeared. Christopher's repair was different because he kept showing up. He helped replace weather stripping around my back door. He drove me to collect my truck after a routine service. Once he called just to tell me he'd heard one of Elaine's favorite songs in a grocery store. He didn't need anything. When he did need something, he asked directly. "Can I borrow your inspection camera for Saturday?" he said one afternoon. "This is for my house, not the company." "What are you inspecting?" "The wall behind the laundry connections." "Do you know how to use it?" "You showed me. I showed you 4 years ago." "I remember." I laughed. He added, "If you'd rather not lend it, I understand." "You can borrow it. Pick it up Friday and return it Saturday." "I will." He arrived Friday, signed the simple loan sheet I kept in the garage, and returned it the next afternoon with the charging cable wrapped properly. That was another small test passed. The annual supplier renewal came around again the following year. Valerie sent me a courtesy notice stating Mesa Home renewals had remained cash only. There was no form for me to sign. Christopher didn't bring it up. Ashley didn't call. I placed the notice in the old folder and locked it away. The company had survived without my credit. It was smaller, but its bills belonged to its owners. My relationship with Christopher had survived too, but it no longer depended on what I paid or repaired. If you stayed with me this far, tell me whether you would have signed that renewal, and subscribe if you want to hear more stories like mine. A week later, Christopher called about a loose switch at his house. "I can hire someone," he said. "I was hoping you'd show me how to replace it safely." "This is your house, not the company." "My house." "Turn off the breaker before I arrive." He did. I brought my old electrician's toolbox. Christopher tested the circuit himself, removed the worn switch, and connected the replacement while I watched. Ashley stayed in the kitchen. She offered coffee once, and I accepted. When we finished, Christopher turned the breaker back on. The light came on without flickering. He carried the toolbox to my pickup. At Mesquite Lane, he followed me into the garage and placed it inside the steel cabinet. "Dinner? Tuesday?" he asked. "Call first." "I will." Christopher returned my toolbox to the garage, and I closed the cabinet, locked it, and kept the key in my own hand.